Hi, folks. Larry Rolla here. Before we start, I just want you to know that for those of you who've been watching, I've been freezing up the last 3-4 times, and it's not my fault. It's StreamYard's fault. They've been having a problem. Everybody that uses StreamYard is having a problem. So, and you can't get to them because they have 100 million customers. So you just got to email, and everybody's trying to fix it. So we'll see. I cleaned my computer out. Hopefully it won't happen again, but I'm sorry for that. And I'm also sorry for not answering because sometimes when we have guests on, the conversations go on. I don't get to see, I don't get to answer any of the comments. And so I'm sorry about that, especially when I got frozen out. So let me bring my friends on. We got Freddie.
Hi, everyone.
We have Trade Martin.
Hey, what's up?
And we have Gregory Peck and our new friend, Jessica. Okay, we're all on. We're all live. And hello, everybody. And well, let's go. Go ahead. Gregor, I think you want to ask Jessica a couple of questions.
Well, hey, Larry, let me get those announcements done first.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Let me put them up. Let's first do this one. Get this one out of the way.
Okay. A lot of people ask what the Harness Racing Alumni is, and I'm just going to read this directly. This was actually AI generated. The United States Harness Racing Alumni Association is a community of harness racing professionals and enthusiasts dedicated to preserving and improving the sport. The organization focuses on promoting greater integrity and innovation in racing, ensuring its visibility and supporting the standardbred horses that have retired from racing. Our key initiatives: sport promotion, seeking to enhance the visibility of harness racing through media and community engagement; advocacy, working to pass legislation that impacts equines and racing to benefit the sport. That means we lobby in Washington, D.C. After racing support, advocating for the best practices and providing support for retired standardbreds. The Harness Racing Alumni Show, which hosting a broadcast and podcast that covers current issues, news, and expert discussions relevant to harness and thoroughbred industries. Community forums, engaging with members through a Facebook group to discuss industry news, share stories, and support the sport. And Roosevelt Raceway history, preserving the legacy of historical racetracks like Roosevelt Raceway through tributes and documentaries. Everything can be found on www.ustrots.com.
Okay.
Right on.
Right on. Okay, now here's something else you want to announce.
Right. Okay, we now have a new Roosevelt Raceway reunion being organized. A lot of the details will be announced very shortly. We plan on having it over at the Meadowlands. Joe Rico and Barry Franklin had contacted me. I contacted Judy Bachman, Jason Settlemore. So we're all on the table to set up a reunion at Roosevelt Raceway. The earliest it would be is in December, but more than likely it's going to take place the end of January or sometime in February. But more details will be announced as we move forward with that.
Great.
Okay. All right.
Okay, now over to Greg.
Good evening. Tonight we have Jessica Hallett, who has been doing a lot of what people say harness racing isn't doing. The social media, the videos, news releases targeted better. And there's Jessica, who really does all of the above. She's 26 years old, and I've known her father since, well, it's probably going on 50 years. And Jessica, I'll guarantee, Jessica might have been born at the racetrack, right, Jessica? Pretty well.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And what she's going to do tonight is talk about how she does catch the action shots of the drivers with the little GoPro. And the great thing about it is before you had the drivers had to press a switch and only lasted 3 minutes long, where Jessica got a situation where she can control it remotely and the drivers don't have to do a thing.
What
She's going to show tonight, which was a great choice. I was actually going to email her today and make sure you do that one, is one of Wally Hennessy when he got his 12,000s win. Now, Wally Hennessy is another guy from New Brunswick, as you know. I'm from Nova Scotia. And as I've said to him before, I really never seen him give a bad drive. And it's funny, just after I said that, Mike Garino, who was on last night, Joe's son, said I was looking at Wally Hennessy, and he said he's won over 200 races for 30 some odd years. So that is the model of consistency. He's a member of the Hall of Fame on both sides of the border. Obviously, drove Moneymaker, and he's going as strong as ever. I looked the other day; he won 5 races at Saratoga. So we'll talk about that with Jessica, and just after I'll ask her a few questions, and then we'll go to that. How's that, Jess?
That sounds perfect.
You want to?
Jess, how did you get the idea of starting the GoPro? I know you do the track photography at Saratoga, etc.
Yeah, so basically I'm always looking for a new angle for racing, whether it's putting my camera inside the pylons or up high or on a corner or anything to show a different angle. And like, I felt like the best way to experience harness racing is in the bike. Like, you're not going to get a better experience than you are in the barn or in the seat or holding lines. You got to have that hands-on approach to actually appreciate it. So when I first got these glasses, the Meta Ray-Bans, I thought, this would be actually kind of cool to see the driver's perspective. So Brett Beck was actually the first one to wear them for me through Saratoga, and it worked out so well. And I actually had a trainer contact me and said, the Insta360 Go 3S, those cameras, they go for a lot longer, so you should try those out. So that's when we started the helmet cams, and it's just grown from there. And I'm, every time a driver says yes, and it just happens to be on a big win or a milestone, it's really cool. There's nothing like it.
Can everybody now? She's breaking up on me. Is she breaking up on you guys?
No.
Not at all. Not at
Pardon?
all.
The problem is on
Nobody.
your end.
So it's
Greg.
she just breaks up on mine then.
Yeah.
Then
Like-
she's spinning.
She was perfect. She was perfect.
Jess,
Yeah, we didn't hear him.
the best thing to me was the fact that they don't have to do anything, because drivers can be suspicious or going for $1 million. I don't want to have to push some switch. I want to stay focused, even though we know if you watch the drivers today, I noticed this about Yannick Gingras years ago. He's out there, he's as cool as if he's driving a car. Like, he just does it so easily, gets the brown, kind of like Hervé did in the day. So the ones who are the most relaxed seem to, I can tell you by driving against them, are the hardest to drive against. So did you find that they then got, it was easier to do by just popping that on their helmet and they didn't have to do a thing?
It absolutely was. When I first started out, it was like Matty Athern, Mitch Cushing, Brett Beckwith. So it was the younger generation that was, they really understood how to use the glasses and everything. Whereas, the older generations, like, not to say like Wally Hennessy's the older generation, but when he tried them on, if you don't hold the button long enough, it just takes a picture. So I have a lot of pictures from him instead of videos. So when the real turning point was actually Braxton Boyd in the North America Cup. He said, I can wear the glasses, but I think I'll be a little too nervous to remember to turn it on. So if we could just go with the helmet cam that night, then that's perfect. So that's what we did. And it worked out. And the fact that it records so long, I feel like especially stuff like the Gold Cup and Saucer or Braxton's thoughts in the North America Cup, I feel like it just adds to the experience. Whereas the Meta glasses are only 3 minutes and you're only seeing the race.
Hey, Jessica, I have a quick
So
question for you. Do you have one camera or 2 cameras?
So actually right now I have the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, and then I have 4 of the helmet cams.
Because when I was looking at Wally's video, it looked like there was a camera on the shaft, and so I wasn't 100% sure of that, whether that was a camera.
Yeah. That one is the GoPro. So that's a 5th one. That's a separate one, or a 6th one, I guess. It's that's a whole different angle. I like that one on the bike if it holds up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Greg, back to you.
Jessica, let's look. Well, let's watch it. I think it's a good time to watch it. We'll go from there. So if it's set up,
Okay.
ready to roll, let's do it.
Here goes.
Okay, boys. Thank you. All right, hey, Kev. Are we on, Jess? Okay, bud. Yep. All right, thanks, buddy. Thanks, Jeff. I don't know, the GoPro. It's aiming down. Anyway, let's put it this way right now. Get this out of the way. This journey started, I was born in '56. I've been around horses my whole life. I don't know for how long, but as long as I can remember. All right, guys. And I've been driving horses since 1974. This is the year 2025. So 50 plus years. And I'll tell you what, it's been a journey of a lifetime. Wouldn't trade it for nothing. Been all over the world. Drove the greatest horse in the world. And now I'm on a favorite here. It's only a non-winner's a 1 or non-winner's a 2. But the feelings never change. Like, whether it's a good race, I mean for a lot of money, or this race. You might be a little more keyed up when you're going for a bigger, significant race. But everybody feels good about winning a race. Like I'm looking right now on the board. I'm 1-4. And that's not because of Wally Hennessy. I mean, I just got the horse that should be 1-4. But stranger things have happened. Could happen today, too. We got a good day for it. The boys get the track good. I came here to Saratoga Harness in 1986, which is close to 40 years ago. And I missed 3, 4, 5 years somewhere along the line, going different places. But for the most part, I did a lot of my driving right here. It's the most beautiful half-mile track, I believe, in the country. The layout of it, of course. And anyway, to be able to live in this city, it's quite a thing. Reminds me a lot of my hometown, Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. Wonder how that GoPro's doing out there. I see a helicopter up there. Are they watching me too? There's Jess Hallett. She's doing all the work for this today, and I really appreciate everything she does for me and for racing. A lot of these guys I've known a long time. I'm racing with you, right? a daily basis. I'm the elder of all. Been fortunate to have a career that lasts this long and have people want to be a part of it. Usually don't get them chances when you get a little long in the tooth, but in my case it's worked so far. So I'm turning the other way. We're almost getting ready. Jeff's the driver of the starting car. Scotty, I've been a friend of his for over 40 years, Scotty Hamlin. He's the starter. I think the best in the country. So we got a lot of the best around here. Between here and Pompano Park is where the majority of my wins have came from. So they both have a very special place in my heart, especially Pompano. All right, I'm going to turn up in behind them here. This big fella, he's pretty good. Okay, let's go, buddy. Let's get this job done and get this out of the way. And if we don't, we get it another time. Okay. Funny when you turn a horse, you think he ain't that sharp. You turn them to go to the gate. They can get on the muscle. I don't want to get him right on the car. I could, but I just want to relax him. If I can. If I can. He's on me pretty good right now. I can't see anybody leaving from the outside, but you never know. Winner circle, okay? Thank you. Tell the other members to come on. pretty special. Oh boy. I'm a little choked up right now because... All right, Ollie. Thank you, buddy. I'm a little choked up because of this. Thanks, Pete. You know why? I know this is going to be my last milestone. Or way hit a number. It's been a terrific life. Met a lot of great people. Been around a lot of great people. Hey, Scotty. Scotty. Would you and Jeff please come up and come in? Come on up, Jeff. Come on. Thanks, guys. Thanks, buddy. Well, we got the cam on here. You know, it's a Monday afternoon at noon. Some of the drivers came up. That was nice. I appreciate that. These are the people you race against every day. And, been a great feeling.
Okay, that was great. I have one question, Jessica.
Yes.
Is there any cameras out there, or is there any way that you could get a camera that shows a wider screen, you know, like the whole picture where you could see the driver sitting there, but you see the whole horse and maybe horses alongside of him if somebody can come up?
It all depends on, like, I know like the USTA and other people have used like a 360-degree camera, and I've never used it personally. It also depends on where you set the camera on the helmet. Like it can only like attach to the brim of the helmet, but you can adjust the angle. And usually I adjust it to the lowest setting because like I got used to like Dexter Dunn. You know, they lean a lot these days, so it's kind of like in order to see the horse, you have to set it low. With Wally, I wasn't really thinking, like, he was really emotional about his milestone win and everything, so he's kind of hanging his head low. So I should have set the camera up higher so it could have caught more. But it for that specific camera, it just depends on how you angle it is what you can see.
Yeah, that would be a challenge. You're right, because these young kids today, they lean straight back and you'd be looking at the sky. So you're right. You have to set it kind of low. Yeah.
Yeah, because Twin B Joe Fresh had a big win in Canada that I had on camera. Well, you couldn't see half the race because even though the camera was set all the way down, Dexter's lean was just too much for the camera.
Well, you're going to have to make some adjustments because they all do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a tough job.
But the camera that you really need is the overall, what you're talking about, Larry, is an overall look at like what a racetrack gets of an overall race, but more of a close-up. And that would have to come from the grandstand where they're shooting.
What about a drone?
Oh, that's another thing, of course. We'll call Putin, get Putin to send one of his drones over.
You see why I feel bad, because Jennifer, she works very hard. She spends a lot of money putting all that stuff together, and then these guys, you can't tell them to sit up straight. You can't tell them what to do. You can only adjust the camera so far, and when they lean straight back, you're going to see the sky. So I feel bad for you, because all the suggestions that Trey just made put you out of business unless you buy a couple of drones or something. I don't know, but you're right. If you put her on the brim of the helmet, you're going to see the sky with these young kids. So,
yeah, it's pretty much just
But
like
Larry,
a curve. Go ahead.
you know what's interesting? You know, you're talking about the leaning in that. One of the key reasons I would say Wally Hennessy he seems as good today as he ever was, which they say, and he'd probably say, "Oh, you're just being nice." No, but he just, I don't see any slowdown. Usually they change their body language, but the wrong way. Where what he did and continues to do is he's adapted with the times. Do you notice where he's had his handholds, letting them back, putting them on the buckle? That those guys that drive every day, there must be something to that. In other words, that's probably what he thinks now is best. And he would have grown up, obviously, in the generation that I did, because I remember the first time I raced in Charlottetown, where Wally is from. I was 16 and I had the 7-hole, 7 wide, and I won with Stephanie Kraft. And the next race, I was on the lead the whole way with a horse called Hoodway Rob Roy. And right as we get into the stretch past where Roach McGregor's barn was, I yelled at him, and he made a quick break, and Wally was first over and beat me. That's a long time ago. Like that would have been about vintage 1980 that happened. So, but the overall feel of it, Jess, is excellent. I mean, yeah, there's lots of things you know. Anthony McDonald uses the drone a lot because his brother Curtis has the drone, but you kind of can't have it all. Like and then you have to. Is this something that you could market to the tracks and get paid for?
I'm not really sure, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm sure some tracks would pay for it. I honestly just like to do it for the fans, for the people, for the horsemen. Like, people like to see this content. Like, most of the stuff I do, I don't get paid for, so I'm not good at the, like, I didn't get a business degree, so I'm not really good at the business side of anything. So I just I focus on getting the content. And some tracks, it just, I guess it depends on the day and the race. If they want to pay for it, it's totally up to them. But usually, like, it's just for me, it's just something I do on my own.
Yeah, but to me, you should be paid because it's well worth watching. You also, your father, and John and Michelle Hallett have to be so proud of you. I could tell when I talked to your father. I don't think I've met your mother, but certainly your father was very proud. And he says you do some stuff with the Hamiltonian Society and Standardbred Canada too, as well, right?
Yeah, I pretty much have, like, I don't know, I guess people say, like, your hand in the pot and, like, everything. Like, I try to do as much as I can and experience as much as I can. It's just something I've done since, like, middle school, basically. Is I always want to try as much as I can, experience it, and if I like it, then I'll stick with it. Then and if I don't, it's an experience that helped me further. And so far, everything I've done in harness racing, I just absolutely love, and I haven't had a bad experience.
Well, that's really something to say. Let me ask you this. Speaking of that, being, as I mentioned, I had it right earlier, you're 26, correct?
Yes.
What do you suggest, or how do you think we get your generation to go to the races? Because now I have 2 boys. One is 27 and the other is 31. Now, the 27-year-old, when he was about 12, he was around the whole Muscle Hill thing, and they would interview him without me there, and he was very good. But once that ended, he wasn't interested, and he's not interested now. So it's hard to believe that and your brother's not interested either, right? Your father said.
Yeah, no, he's pretty much out of it. He's an engineer, so he doesn't really have any ties at all besides, my parents and
Was he ever interested in it?
Not really. Nothing really, like, involved in getting a career or going into any part of it.
Yeah,
Honestly,
like my son Sean.
Yeah, I would say the hands-on experience is something that is the most important, because these days people like to experience things. Like I said, like myself, I like to experience things. I like to try things. I think it would be beneficial for, my generation, for kids, to get the hands-on experience, to be able to touch the horses, to harness one, to learn how to care for one, and then to own one. So a lot of these, like, partnerships that you see now with the fractional ownerships and everything, I think that's a perfect place to go, because honestly, take my brother, for example. I think he would think it's amazing to own a racehorse, especially if you have a quality horse like Muscle Hill, you can say, well, geez, I own part of this horse, and
Yeah.
bring your friends out to the winter circle and go to the barn and see your horse. And for me, honestly, I love the horses. I love the business. I love the races, but it's a big difference when my horse is racing that day and I'm the photographer, as opposed to a day where I don't have one in. And it's just to see my own horse out there, it's a big difference. So I think this generation needs that opportunity to get out there and to have a horse.
Let me ask you, what's your experience been if you invited friends when you were in Pompano to come to the races? Would they come?
It's 50-50. Some of the
Yeah, right.
parents,
Yeah.
to tell you the truth, some of the parents wouldn't let their kids come. When I was younger, they would not let their kids come to the track because they saw it as, gambling, drinking, betting, like all of it. They saw the negatives. They did not like the races, and it took some convincing to get them to the backside. And I think, like, my angle has always been the barnyard, where the horsemen are, where the horses are. So once you get people there and they get to experience that, that's where that's where everything is. And in my opinion, that's the whole heart of the sport, and that's how people enjoy it, is from that side.
What would be interesting to see if the advanced wagering companies would take it, if FanDuel or say Churchill Downs or that's Twin Spires or FanDuel, say, if they could have it, you wouldn't get that at the track if you're watching it live. But now that most of us are watching it from home and enjoying it, you get to see everything, especially now that we get people like you doing things like this. I wonder if we could somehow get them interested in, and because that's where the gambling is going now, that it's mostly off track.
Yeah.
So if I wonder if we could give them, like you're doing, that more of an experience that they get with the football, the baseball. It's just not the race and that's it. It's just not the football game or the track around and that's it. And I just thought of that now. I'm probably playing Pollyanna here, but I think it would be a really good idea. They'd be the ones who could really use it.
Well, for sure. And I think, like, that's why I think the media and marketing plays a huge role into it, is if you know the horses and the horsemen behind the scenes. And then as far as like the camera angles go, I think it would be cool. Like, I honestly, I don't know how it would work. Like, you would need a team and you'd need to figure out the logistics, but I think it'd be cool. Like, if you go to the thoroughbred track and you're watching, say, Twin Spires, you can toggle the views from the grandstand to like a gate view. Like, you can switch the views. If you could toggle the views from driver to driver on that track as they're scoring down and as they're racing, I think that would drive bets. That would drive fans, because people, like, you get to sit in the seat, you get to see what's going on from the actual seat. Like, that's the angle I think we should play for.
And now that you've made it so easy for them, there's no buttons to press. They don't even notice it there on their helmet. Yeah, like it would be a great idea. You could really, you could be betting on Wally Hennessy, say, and follow along and see why you think he won or why he lost. Maybe it's. And I also noticed with those GoPros, they seem to have them on all the time. Like, did you kind of give them to them and they just leave them on their helmets? Like, I see Dexter with it on all the time. I see Ronnie Wren with it on. I was kind of wondering about that.
Oh, well, so it depends on the track. Like, I've had like hundreds of messages asking me like what cameras, what setups and everything. And it was kind of funny because that's the USTA reached out after the meta glasses went viral, and they were asking questions about those, and they're like, oh, we just really want to get these meta glasses. And then the North America Cup happened, and Braxton's video blew up and went viral on Facebook, and they messaged me right away and they asked about those cameras. So that's when they got them, and now, like, everywhere they go, they bring those cameras with them, and if they can get them on a driver, they have them too.
Well, it was so real to life because Braxton did use the F word as Larry does sometimes. But today you can. Okay, that's reality today. So it kind of makes it no, but it kind of makes it more interesting in a way. It's not so sterile, so vanilla then.
Yeah.
But it to me, the other thing is they've done it with the saddle cloths that they put something in the saddle cloth, where they could get the photo finish and used to track it. It would to chart the horses. It
Yeah.
wouldn't be hard to do what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and you'd have somebody there like, yeah, you could set them up because again, I'll say it and say it again. I'm not convinced that will get them to go to the races. But I could see if you had brothers and sisters, friends, whatever, at your house, and you had the advanced wagering accounts, that might do it, and then create maybe a want to go. Because look, the more they watch the football, the baseball, the hockey, the more they want to go to watch them live. So it might create some of that because it's so foreign to them. They don't know the rules. Yeah, I wonder. I could see that helping. Like you might be onto something there. Well, I think you are onto something.
No, absolutely. And it's like in my opinion, the way I see it is as a kid I played all kinds of sports like basketball, baseball. Like I tried everything. You can try anything, and there's adult leagues and you can go play these sports. You can't get behind a horse. Like there is no such thing as going and jumping in a jog cart, jumping in a race bike and sitting behind a horse. People are separated. There's this wall between us and the regular public, and they don't understand our sport, and they don't, like you said, they don't understand it. They don't know the rules. They don't know what's
No.
going on. So I think giving them the firsthand experience is the most important part because you're giving them, and it helps with even safety and like even the rules because you can say, look, we're not like whipping these horses because that's a big, a thing that's a big problem is people think, oh, the whips are a big problem. Well, if they see that the whip is actually, first of all, hitting the saddle pad, it's not touching the horse, or that, the horses aren't
Yeah.
getting beat up or anything on the track, like that's a big thing to help as far as those claims go. So you could cover all the bases. Like there's not cheating. You're not going to see horse abuse out there. You're not going to see, all these misconceptions. So I just think it covers everything.
Well, what's interesting, what you're raising, and I was thinking, I just thought of Joe Hennessy, who would be Wally's father, who I've known for years, and they loved to go to the races. They went to every race. But today, guys like Joe Hennessy and my father, I think they'd look at us and say, you horsemen, you want everybody to go to the races, right? Yeah, like we did. Yeah, well, you guys don't go yourselves. He'd be right. And that's very true.
Yeah.
So to me, most of us are watching it on, and we could have dinner parties or whatever, and that might be the way to expose it. Maybe we're onto something here. If I say if the different betting sites would give them that twist to it, it would probably make it better. The other thing is the drivers today, as a rule, are young, or they look really young, and they're physically in good shape. Where in my day, the drivers were all older men. Yeah, that's kind of the way that it went. That they thought you had to be older to have the experience of that. But that's changed. So I think we're on to something. I don't know. You could try it. I guess it's something to look into because you're doing a good thing, and it'd be nice if the good thing could really do what you're setting out to do, is get people to watch it and maybe go see it. But because remember, the other issue is if you get them to go to the track, they have to gamble. If
Yeah.
they don't gamble, they're really not doing us any good because the horsemen don't get any percentage of the concession stands, if you will. They don't. They only get a percentage of what is wagered. So maybe my idea, if you get them at home, because they all have the FanDuels, like my boys, yeah, they don't even bet. I said, well, you must know somebody who bets the Kentucky Derby, because that's usually a big pool, a big bet. You can bet the number, the color of the horse. No, they said they'll bet on anything else but the horses. So somebody's, some of your ideas that might do the trick. Any other thing that you can think of?
Pretty much it's all about, you have to make it exciting. Like I said, I'm not familiar with the betting side as much.
No.
The person I would consider a role model would be Gabe Pruitt. It seems like everywhere he goes,
Yeah.
he drives the handle up. I'd absolutely love to have him here at Saratoga because he just knows what he's doing. He has a huge following, and that's a big thing. Is he has the Send It In army, and he has all these people following him and reading his tweets and interacting, and that's a big thing, is to get people to interact. So even just having our drivers on social media, one thing I really like is that if the bettors on Twitter make a comment about like Brett Beckwith or Matty Athern or Mitch Cushing, those 3 drivers reply to the bettors and explain what happened in the race. Like it wasn't something illegal or something cheating. They like the horse, like whether the horse broke equipment or they choked down or something, like they explain what happened. So I think that's a big thing, is transparency and explaining what's going on, and just having our drivers, our horsemen interacting with the public so that's kind of what I take away. What Gabe Pruitt does is he gets the fans through his account and he's interacting that way. And that's what I see from my own account, is people are watching these videos, and it's kind of crazy the amount of views I'm getting on videos and posts. And it's interesting to see like what I post, what gets feedback and stuff. So social media has to be our greatest tool.
Right. Well, it's everybody else's, so why not ours, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the issue is, and maybe the advantage we do have is we have a very different kind of sport where they're, because that's the other thing. I always wondered if maybe your generation thinks, well, we shouldn't race horses. Why are we racing animals? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder that. So the more, did you ever hear them say that maybe?
Absolutely. I read a lot of comments on social media, and it's sad to see the comments because they don't understand, simple equipment like bits and bridles. They don't understand, like I said, the whips. They don't want horses to go speed. It's mainly, in my opinion, it's all misconceptions and misunderstandings. If they just understood the sport, like that's why I drive a lot of my own horses on social media and how they're treated, because that's how most people's horses are treated, and they're like family. Like I would do anything for my horses, and I want them to understand like they have personalities and they all have their own quirks and everything, and we know every single one of them and we know them well, and that's like the most important thing, is they're not an object. They're not just something that makes money.
How many do you have, Jessica?
What you're also seeing too, the drivers have been pretty cooperative with you, haven't they? Okay, like you were saying, Wally, as I heard him saying, he's now the older guy in the locker room, but he was able to do this, and the way he talked nicely to the horse, he kind of said, okay, let's get it done, and that stuff that people like to hear, and we've got, where years ago we always had the problem in the 90s or in the millennium. The problem would be is they'd interview the drivers and they would have no animation. They not like the jockeys seem to be more coming, more facial gestures, more connected, more animated, smile more. Where you've got guys now that are doing this and they're willing to do it. Like that's a big advantage to have. You could probably go to any track, and I'll say it again. The key, you took the technology out of it for the driver. All the driver still has to do is worry about racing, right? You took that all away. They don't have to worry a thing anymore about the camera.
No, absolutely. First I'll answer Trade's question, is that I have 4 of my own, and my parents have 12 horses.
Wow.
But yeah, I do believe, like, I am so thankful to the drivers, especially when they say yes to all these little things I like to do, like interviews or wearing the cameras or, whatever else. Because I think, like, it's so important to see that side, especially, like, their job and everything they do on the track. And, yeah, if that's the thing, people need to pay attention to the drivers and what they're doing. Because if you notice, Dexter Dunn, every time he gets off a horse, he pats them and he thanks them for the drive, and like tells them what a great job they do, or in the Hamiltonian winner's circle, the Todd McCarthy was hugging and kissing his horse. Like, all the drivers there, they respect the horse, and the best drivers, of course, they respect the horse and treat them as such. And it's just important to see that side of it.
Yeah, I'd be kissing.
Well,
I'd
he
be
was good at
kissing
the
all the
photo
horses
op.
that
When I
I'd
drove
be
to
kissing.
France, I gave the horse a
Greg,
kiss, and it was in
Greg,
all
I'd
the
kiss
French
all
papers
the
because they
horses
have
that
100 tracks.
that Dexter drove too, because they were great. They're all the best horses in racing. But
But Dexter has to be the best to get the best. You know that he didn't start that
listen,
way. They have
I
to.
got
But
news
here
for you. I think.
you're raising something here, Trey.
Listen,
I think
Greg,
this just
good.
yeah.
Good. What are you going to say? Good. I'm sorry. Good. What are you going to say?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, what I
No,
was going to say
I was
is.
going to say.
Okay.
Oh.
Go ahead. I'm listening, Greg. Go ahead.
No, I'm listening to you, Trey. Go.
Oh, okay. Good. What I was going to say is, listen, I think Dexter is excellent. Don't get me wrong, but he's driving all the best horses, and I'm sure that not me, but I mean, I like the way my son drives, but I think if my son was on a horse and that as good as Dexter, he would have just as much of a chance to win as Dexter would. And I think Dexter knows where to place the horses. He's always in a good spot with the horse. He's not, he never gets locked in because he never has a horse. He's got a horse that always has a lot of guts. His horses always have a lot of guts. So he's got a big advantage like that, and a guy who drives those kind of horses gets very confident, and he believes he's going to win every race. And that's how he's driving. Like
but Trade, I'm going to jump in over here. When you drive good horses, it makes you drive your bad horses better too. That's a proven fact.
That's true.
But look, let me say something.
Yeah.
I've been around a long time, and I've seen a lot of the young kids, and we'll just use Monticello for instance. And the young kids that came up, you can always tell the good ones from the not so good, and the cream always rises. And the ones that got there now were the best of the bunch that started out. And so the best always climb up the ladder. And what Greg said before was true. You have to be good to get the best, and that's what happens. Out of the seven, I think 7 kids that started at Monticello with P licenses, and you could pick out 2 or 3 that were gonna make the top, and them 2 or 3 made it. And George Brennan's one of them. That's it. You all start. Everybody starts out thinking they can do it, and they have the talent and everything else. But after a while, some of them just fade away. Some of them just stop, and the ones that have all the qualities that make a top driver, they go on, and them are the ones that eventually everybody starts to see what I saw, and they start getting the better horses, and that's it. But sure, what you said too is right too, that you take any one particular horse and because I personally think that if Greg drove his horse, he'd win just as many races. But
right.
But when you do it consistently, night after night, different horses, different. The ones that race it, like George Brennan, they because they were 5 other ones that started with him that just gave up driving. They just didn't have it. So what Greg says is true.
Well, the other thing though is they have the hands, as they say. They can keep them going longer. If you think of, because we started off with Wally Hennessy, that Bernie Lindstedt told him in the elite lap, don't get caught in. Wally got away second, but had to pull Moneymaker right out. Now, you would never do this in America, And I'll bet you a lot of drivers, if they had a pulled moneymaker out of the 2-hole and sat there and then took off down the backstretch, basically out the whole mile, she probably would not have won. I mean, that's the other thing that Wally could do, or a Dexter Dunn. If you watch Dexter Dunn or Tim Tetrick and them, they can come first over a lot and still win. It's the ease of, or Yannick, again, they really get the horses around easily today. And I think that it would be, I drove mine and I won lots with them. They were trotters and some pacers too. But if you asked Billy O'Donnell if he was here, I know what his answer would be. That'd be like, say, he would tell you, when he was in his into his 50s, he didn't think he was the same as before, and he would tell you that the other guys are better. Or look what Billy Houghton did. He took himself off Annihilator because he didn't think, he thought if he was a fraction of a second off, he'd have a better chance with Billy O'Donnell. So it's, they have to earn it, that's for sure. But
Well,
are there guys who do it? Yeah, absolutely. Are there guys that are naturals? Yeah, that probably wouldn't even need that. They could probably jog and train horses for a few months, go out and drive, because kids are talented today. The other thing this would be good for, Jeffrey is making a good point down here. He's talking about a lot of people won't go to the races. The trotters, they think they're fixed. They think we rehearse them and everything about like wrestling. But if you had where they saw all these views, well, they could say, well, that's not true. The guy, there was nowhere he could go. He tried to get positioned where he would, but it just didn't work out. Then it is more, tactical, like the football. But okay, the driver got sacked leaving. Somebody left and parked him, whatever.
Right.
I see it as doing that. And again, what you prompted, Jessica, which I've always hoped to do, I always want to talk to somebody who knows more than I do. And you're one of them about what you do. And I think, it's prompted a good discussion tonight. It's nice to see. Anything else, Jess, that you want to add?
I think you covered it, but on your last note, you would not believe how many people come up to me as track photographer and ask, "Oh, who's going to win this race?" And I say, "I don't know. I'm not sure." And they say, "No, they have it predetermined before the race." And I just kind of stare at them because I'm like, no, it's kind of, just.
They still think that.
Jessica, let me ask you something. How many horses do you have racing?
There's a good line here.
Anybody racing?
Yeah, go ahead.
What horses do you have racing right now?
I have 2 racing right now. Don't Chip Me is racing with my uncle in Monticello, and Jimbo Kimball's racing here in Saratoga.
Okay, I just was wondering. And who drives your horses in Monticello?
My uncle, Bruce Aldrich Jr.
Oh, Aldrich, he's very good. Yeah, I've seen Aldrich drive. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, that's good.
David makes a point here about the idea, if you have a good horse, put your ego aside and the best driver available. I kind of think so too, but I'll say it again. Trade is not wrong. Some guys are instantly better than others. They just can do it. So, but as a rule, especially when the money is down, and I'm not saying they all drive, the same, but it wouldn't matter to a Wally Hennessy or a Yannick Gingras or a Dexter Dunn or a Billy O'Donnell or a John Campbell of the day, whether the purse was $1,000 or $1 million. They just know how to drive it, and they'd be cool about the whole thing. It'd be pretty hard to put a guy who doesn't drive often up for $1 million and is not really in the gang, because there's no doubt about, I know they're talking about no holes. To me, that's when you're telling them no holes, you're talking about their artistic creativity in a way. They should be allowed to do whatever is best. So they might have to let a guy in to get him out of the way, so they might be second over. Artistic freedom, you should call it. So I think that would be the way to go. But it's interesting you say that, Jess, because I hear the same thing. Yeah, they think they're fixed. And I said, gee, if they were, why would I have to do anything or work? You just bet the horses all the time, but you can't tell them any different.
One of the things that I've
Jessica,
noticed. one of the Greg, can I?
Does anybody else want to ask you a question? Because I didn't want to hold up your time.
Go ahead, Freddie.
Okay, one of the things I've noticed nowadays in racing, nobody gets parked anymore. I don't see anyone parked. When we were racing back in our day, someone was parked every single night. And basically, someone's trying to go to the front, and my dad had a saying: if he parks someone, your choice to be out there. That was standard, and now it's gentleman racing out there. It's not what it used to be.
Difficult to park some of these horses when they want to pass you. If they're gonna go in a 26 and 4 clip, it's difficult to be parking them unless you want to kill yourself. So I would let the horse go too. I told my son.
Well, I would adapt to the driving style now, but I'm just saying, like, it's.
I'll tell you this.
Back then, yeah.
There's a lot of guys who could park from Wally Hennessy to John Campbell to Billy O'Donnell to Dexter Dunn, who could park them, and those guys would still beat them because they get their horse to relax or do whatever. Where in the old timers, they used to park. It was dog eat dog all the time. It was a different era. Where now, if they park somebody too, the guy on the inside gets over the half 52 in a piece.
Well, if I have a horse that can go
and
with
you do see it happen.
quarter, and everyone else can go with 30-second quarter, nobody's parking me.
Well, I told my son, Larry, appreciate this. I told my son we were racing a horse. Actually, it was Scott Alberg's horse that Tom Fanning couldn't get to the races. I finally got him to the races, and I got him to qualify good. And then he was in to go at Monticello, and I knew he had at least 2 or 3 seconds on the field. And I told my son, I said, John, go to the top. I said, if somebody comes out, just let him go. Don't hang him. I said, come out again, take the lead. If somebody comes at you again, let him go, and then come out again. And you're going to come out in the stretch. You're going to be at the top of the stretch, and you're going to win for 2 or 3 lengths for fun. And he did. He did the same. He did exactly what I told him. He said 3 guys came at him during the race constantly, and he just let him go. And he just went out and passed him again. And they let him go, he passed him again. And because he had so much horse, it was silly. I mean, the whole thing was silly. So he went for fun, and then he went again down at Yonkers. He beat Walter Case's horse. Alex Kavalov drove him down in Yonkers. I had him I had this horse really tuned up, and I'm not talking about on drugs, but just really well trained and just ready to go. I mean, I was training this horse 4 trips. He could go forever. He would go uphill forever. And he won it. He just beat Walter Case. Walter Case is kind of a good driver, but he was a really big whipper, wasn't he? You remember?
Yeah.
Case?
A trade. I remember John was qualifying that Amish horse that he had over at the Meadowlands.
Yeah.
And he's in a 3-horse race against 2 world champions. He's got a $5,000 claimer against two world champions. And they both make breaks, and he's on top by 20 lengths. And I'm like, oh, my God, he's going to beat these guys. Where did he finish? 3rd?
Yeah, I think so, yeah, because they were top horses. They were like, I forget who they were, but they were like muscle. They weren't Muscle Hill quality, but they were close to that. They were big.
They were top horses.
Yeah, but I'll be the first one.
Yeah.
But I'll say this too. For anybody who says anybody could have driven Muscle, any top guy, I don't necessarily agree with that, because everything kind of had to happen the way that it did. There's an element of that too. They have to be good and they have to be lucky. And Muscle Hill was lucky. He drew well most of the time. There was stuff like that, And then the other thing is Brian didn't take him for granted. He didn't put him in a bad spot. That's for sure. But, Larry, what about you? You should ask Jessica something. I got to get you in here.
Well, she's a very, very smart girl. I wasn't aware that she knew as much about horses and training and racing as she does. When I left Monticello or the area where she's at, I don't think she was born. So I knew very little about her, but everything she said is correct. The thing I'm kind of hung up on, and as everybody's talking, I'm trying to figure out where she can place that camera. So no matter who drives, because every one of these kids today, from the top of the stretch home, they're leaning straight back, and you can only adjust that camera, and that has to be a problem. And I was thinking that maybe you could make some kind of bracket that could snap on real quick to the crossbar and put it up there. It wouldn't interfere with the driver, but then the driver wouldn't be mic'd. Well, he could still be mic'd. I don't know the answer. I know one thing. I just want to say this. It probably won't make any sense, but I was on a cruise ship, and we were on the gambling cruise ship in Florida, and we were going to try to get the races on there. And the problem was, anyway, the solution was they had a thing where no matter how the boat was moving, the camera would always stay still.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And I forget what they call it. They do it in the movies now, where you could run and the camera always stays still, or always goes to the same position. So maybe there's something out there that's very cheap, because it's been around.
Like a stabilizer?
Yeah, where no matter where, so if the driver's sitting straight up, you see the front view, but as he leans back, the camera in this mechanism
Compensates.
It just comes. It always goes to the same position. So as you're leaning back, the camera is coming down by itself. There has to be something like that out there, because I feel bad for this girl. I feel bad for Jessica. She's doing all this work, and you can't tell the kid at the top of the stretch that don't lean straight back. You can't say that. You just and so I feel bad for her. But every time we start talking about drivers and horses, I never forget the statement that Michael Chance made. And Michael Chance was on here, and everybody knows who he is. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the greats ever. And when I asked him about professional courtesy on the racetrack, he says, "As far as I'm concerned, there is no professional courtesy." There is none. And I always thought the opposite. But I could see his point, and that don't mean if Mike was on top and somebody came, he let him go because of professional courtesy. He let him go because that was a strategic move, just like what Greg said before, that the judges make these rules. No holes, no this, no that. Them are stupid rules, because a driver drives and he uses his common sense, strategy, and everything else. And like Greg says, if you're sitting in the 2-hole and somebody comes, you better, and he's out there, and he's and the front horse and the one that's first over it just backing up. You might as well back up, give him a hole, and get him the hell out of the way. But the judges think funny. But years ago, there was, when you drive at a racetrack every time, and that's not so much the case now because they move from track to track a lot. But when you're at the same racetrack all the time, and every night, every race, you're in with the same 7-8 guys, that you can't have that attitude that when we're out there, it's just, but I understand Michael's point too. But Michael wasn't driving the 3,000 claimers with the same guys. He's talking about, the Meadowlands.
Big races, big races.
All big races. And when he's out there, Michael says, I'm all business. I'm all business. And I understand that. But what's great now is that just about every racetrack has all these young kids, and they're all great. And they all know. In other words, if a guy's coming in on you, and he's a green driver, you almost have to yell at him, "Hey, buddy, you're getting too close." Say his wheel is right. He's half in on you. Where with the top drivers, you don't have to. He's just driving close. You that's just it. You're inches apart, but you feel comfortable because there's another top guy that's right there, and he knows where he's at. And that's the difference today. That they're all good. Every time somebody comes on, they say Beckwith is the best, or this guy's the best, or that guy. How do you separate these guys? They're all just like I said before. The cream rises to the top, and they're all good.
Hey, Jessica, I have a quick
I think
question
you
for
make
you.
a point.
How many videos of the drivers racing have you done?
Definitely over 30, I believe.
Okay.
A lot of them, honestly, some of them won't get, like, they don't get posted. I leave it up to the driver if the video gets posted or not. Like, if something gets said or like something happens, like I let the drivers watch each video, and if they say, like one case they hooked wheels, they were like, if you just don't post that, and it's fine. I like to form a trust between myself and the driver. Like, they got to know that I'm not out there to hurt them or post anything that's going to make them look bad. So some of them won't get posted, or if something happens, and that's the trust I have with them. But I think I must have done over 30 now.
Okay. One of the things I noticed about Wally was pretty much out there. He knew that he was being recorded, and he was giving you like his life story while he was out there. Do the other drivers do that, or is that just something that Wally did that was a little bit more detailed than special?
Honestly, when Wally, it's kind of, I absolutely love when I put the camera on Wally, because as soon as I put it on, he turns on this like broadcast mode, like he knows he's on camera, so he'll grab the program and he'll be like, "I'm reading the program, Jess," and I'm like, "Okay, like that's good." I absolutely love it. He puts on a show, and every video he talks about something different, and he engages the people watching, and I really enjoy that. Some drivers just, they don't talk, they focus on the race. That's completely fine. I usually cut to the race in that case. Some drivers ask me specifically to just film the race, which is perfectly fine. It just depends. Like, every driver is different. It depends on the race. It depends on the driver, and it depends on the day, I guess. If they're going to talk about what their strategy is, like obviously if you saw the Braxton Boyd, he was very talkative during his North America Cup debut, and I think in his case that made it really interesting because he's 25 years old. He's going for $1 million. It just added to the video.
Absolutely.
Jess, what's interesting though, I've seen a lot of them. You have the Woodbine's been doing the mushes, Woodbine Mohawk Park, and the drivers, and I've seen yours too. They're all pretty good now about, they pretty well do a little talking, and then, they'll tell you who they're on and what they think might happen, what they might hope happen, and then next thing that they're going. The other thing though, with the drag at some tracks, they'd have to pretty well write a presentation before they went out there, because instead of being out there for a couple of minutes, they're out there 6 or 8 minutes. So they'd have a hard, that's another good reason why you could, click.
Well, that ain't me. That's great. That's a great sense. You know what I think it might be with Greg? He's using his
phone. I think he's recording with his phone.
I bet you if he just shut his phone, because he's always, when he's not talking, he's always looking at his phone, looking up things or whatever. And I guarantee you, if he turned his phone off like I did, he would, because he's always, and I told him this every time he comes on, there's always a delay with him. He talks over everybody because he don't realize that there's a delay with him.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
he still didn't fix it, and it's too bad because here he is now, because
You're exactly right. That's been going on. I can't hear when you stop or when you start. So I don't think it's StreamYard's problem. I think it's my system's problem.
Right.
Now, and here's the difference.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. Well, except remember last week or so, You kept, remember, you go silent, and at the end of it, we had to shut the show down
Yeah,
for you.
that
And
was
even
StreamYard's
Tuesday
problem.
night, they had to shut the show down for you. But tonight, it's definitely my system, and the color's not good either.
No, not only tonight, every night, every time you're on, it's the same thing, Greg. It's the same thing. There's always a delay, and there's always something that, and it's sad because you're one of the most interesting guys. You have all good questions. You speak better than anybody else I ever had on the show, including all my friends. But you're always talking over people because you have a delay. And I know you don't do it on purpose, but you have a delay. I don't know how to fix it. I'm lucky I know how to do what I'm doing now. And half the time I do it wrong.
Even to the point, by the way,
how Jessica could figure out how to get the camera so it swivels.
No, here's the other thing, Larry. I'll even do this. I'll say, Freddie, what do you think? Trade, what do you think? Larry, you got a question? And I don't hear anything back. So then that's why I started it. But last couple of weeks, we had two problems, yours and mine. Tonight, it's all mine. So we got to iron this out.
Hey, Greg,
right,
now
Jesse?
The horse in back of you is Muscle Hill, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And his reach there is a reach that everyone should be looking for in a horse.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And I don't think a lot of horsemen realize that reach.
I notice everything. You know what I even noticed?
Well, you do, Larry.
On the Wally Hennessy horse, the race we just watched, I'll bet you I'm the only one that's going to watch that film that knows that horse had bar shoes up front.
Wow, no kidding. I could never tell. Really?
And the horse, in fact, you could see it right behind Greg's shoulder. You could see that the shoulder angle is the exact angle as the leg coming down. That angle, same angle, just like that. It's perfect, perfect confirmation. There it is. See that?
No, I'm just trying the different lighting.
These virtual backgrounds are fun.
You know what you should do? I'll bet you if you turn your phone off, maybe that won't happen.
Yeah, but I think he's recording on his phone.
No. But I'm going to try that. Try it right now. It's off.
Okay, so now we'll continue and we'll see if it's any better because every 30 seconds you freeze. I don't know if you know that or not, but you freeze. So now we'll see. All right.
Not so far.
No, everything is good. Everything is good so far.
And you know why I keep the phone on? Because I get texts sometimes. People ask me to ask questions, and before I stop talking, I just want to deal with a couple of comments here, and because ever since we've asked them to keep the comments based or the questions based on what we're talking, have been good. But Jeffrey says there's still a few guys at tracks who still cheat.
I'm still on the air.
You can't. He's probably right. You know, it's like anything. There's always going to be somebody. You can't guarantee everything. You know that everybody. But I'll tell you what. Most of the guys I ever hear, they're setting up all that. They can't drive well enough to do that. Believe me.
All right.
Drive.
Jessica, I bet you're saying, why the hell did I come on this thing tonight?
Yep.
Oh no, I've had a great experience. It's great talking to you guys.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
I love when people ask questions and I get to talk about like this side of it because I don't get that opportunity a lot.
You're a very, very interesting girl, very entrepreneurial, which I like. But I got to say it again, and I'm going to be thinking about it until I figure it out, and then I'm going to call you. We got to figure out how to get that camera, a wide angle camera. See, like I have a camera hooked up. I don't have it hooked up, but if I put that camera up, you'll see my whole room. Just goes. And I'm sure I don't know anything about. I don't even know what I'm talking about now. All I know is I have a camera that's wide angle. And if you could get like a wide angle camera where you could see like if a horse came first over on Wally in that race, you wouldn't see it. All you would see is just what you saw. And but it gets naturally, you know this, it gets a whole lot more exciting when with a wide angle where you could see you could see the horses on the inside of you, the outside of you, the horses that are coming up with a wide angle, and you could see the horse's ears, you know.
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on like the driver. Like I'll ask them before I put it on, like, do you have a real like big lean or something? Because just so I can get an idea of where to set the camera. As far as wide, I usually the drivers will like look side to side is how I've seen, you know, that in other cases. I'd like to look into other camera options. I'm not sure what's out there. But I do find your idea interesting. Like what you're thinking of is like a gimbal is what we use for photography. It keeps the camera steady, but it allows the camera to move while it's filming.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, so
I
that
looked into that 40 years ago, but maybe I'm sure by now it has to be, because even in the movie pictures, I know that they have cameras on their shoulders and they're running, but the picture stays exactly still. So
yeah,
so
like
so maybe that, because I hate for you to do all this work, spend all this money on these cameras, and all you see is a horse's ass in front of you. You know, it's you know, and after a while, people are going to get tired of looking at the same thing. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you know what I'm saying, if they saw more, I think it'd be a lot more interesting.
yeah, I think
Well, she'll be able to get a sense of that too.
yeah, and I think Louis Philippe Roy, his video in Vernon in the Zwag with Emoticon Legacy. If you watch that one, you can see the horses to both sides of him, and you can see clear over the horse's head, because I thought it was a cool angle. You can see the sunset, because the race went off right at sunset. And that one's a really good one. It's kind of interesting to see how he sits in the bike, because his view was perfect. So I guess it just depends on
Well, let's
the
see it.
drivers in the race.
You don't have it handy. We can't see it right now, right?
I
You
don't
can't see
have
it
it.
now?
I could pull it out. Like I could show it through my like phone, where I could hold it up and show it.
I don't think that'll be any good tonight anyway, but
No,
I'd
no.
like
Yeah.
to see that.
Put it this way, Jessica.
Yes.
You're a trailblazer, not a trailblazer. You're a pathfinder. You really are. So, and by the way, Curtis McDonald, he was big on the drones for Anthony, and it really worked. I used to watch them do it. And now the mic'd up, you know, you and others are doing that. So, you know, the next would be to me is if you could get them on everybody in all the races. The other thing, by the way, about the drivers, you know, Larry, you were saying about the same drivers. I can tell you, I talk to the real gamblers, not the neophytes. The ones that are there every night, the ones that the 10% of them that bet 90% of the handle. They want all top drivers in the races. They want that element out of there. Now, but they'll also take a guy. Trade mentioned about Walter Case earlier. When Walter Case was at Pocono, that's probably 20 years ago or something. My friend at Parks, who's probably the best handicapper there, said when Walter Case was there, the handle would be double at Pocono. Because he said this, there were people that they saw first time Walter, of course they'd bet it. But then the real sharp guys who knew not even Walter could win with this horse, they'd bet against him, knowing, and that could work out too. So there was that element of it. But I never heard anybody say one driver, to increase the handle that much.
He had
But
a
he
big
did in the day.
following. He had a big following.
Oh,
He made a big following.
Yeah.
And one night I called him over, and I was training his horse, and it was a pacer I claimed a couple of races ago. So I called Walter over, and I said, Walter, listen, don't score this horse down. Don't score him down. I said, he'll run away with you, and you won't win this race. If you don't score him down, you're going to win this race. He goes, okay. He said, he didn't hardly know who I was, and he didn't Didn't care anyway. So he said, okay, okay. So my son goes to me, what the hell are you telling Walter Case what to do? He's a great driver. Leave him alone. I said, listen, John, I got to tell him because I know the horse. If he scores him down, the horse is going to peter himself out and he's not going to win. Otherwise, he's going to win. So Walter win with the horse. But he came back to the paddock leaning all the way back. He was almost off the seat, way back. He goes, what the fuck? He couldn't stop the horse. He was going to run into the paddock. He was going to run into the gate. You couldn't stop this horse. You needed a tractor for this horse. Anyway, that was a little stupid story.
Yes, what do we got on that video there? I can see that is Vernon. Is that the one?
Yeah, not to get off topic, but that's the view that I figured this is the easiest way to show it. That's the
Okay.
view that Louis had, where you could see both horses next to him and you can see clear over the horse's head.
Now,
Oh,
why
that's
can't
nice.
Was that a different camera?
Nope, that's the same camera.
Or, well, the difference in Wally's was because Wally, he was in front, so that's what made it look the way it did, right? Where if Wally
Yeah,
had
and-
horses around him in front of,
Wally was
There you go.
really
So that's
emotional.
what
He
that
said,
was.
yes, he said he was emotional, so he's like trying not to cry, so he kept his head down. Whereas like other videos of his, you get a better angle of like everything. So if the driver holds their head down, like obviously it's gonna
So,
down.
Jessica, what you're saying is that the camera that Wally had on his helmet is the same camera that took that shot that you have up there now.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so then I'm wrong. So, as usual, the only thing you got to figure out is how to keep it level because that's wide enough right
Yeah,
there.
it's a wide shot. Nice wide
Yeah.
shot. It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it just depends on the driver
To
and
me-
the scenery.
So Greg is right that the reason that it was so local is because there was nobody around them and that was it. Okay, but that's a good shot there. Yeah. All right. I'm wrong again.
No, you're
Jess.
not, Larry. Come on. Yeah.
Jess.
It's your
Yeah.
show.
Could you control the camera? Could you be sitting at your place in Saratoga, have that on all the drivers at the Meadowlands and still control it?
No, so the way the cameras work is they last for 30 minutes once you disconnect them from the body, like the actual body of the camera, you put them on the mount and they last for 30 minutes. So that was kind of the biggest issue with like the Gold Cup and Saucer. Like I know you guys know that race, how long that post parade is. I was afraid
Yeah.
I was afraid it wouldn't record the whole post parade, and it actually, I had 4 cameras out that night and only one recorded the whole post parade and the race, and that was the race winner with Corey McPherson. So that was just luck, but it was
Lucky,
You got lucky.
so that you have to be, you don't have, once you disconnect the body, you don't have to be near it, but you just have to turn it on. And like what I've been doing at the big races, especially if I have to be in the winner's circle or by the wire, I have my mom push the start button in the paddock, so then it's good. Like once you push the start button, we're good.
Did you
So
have
is
to
that
get
a battery
permission-
thing that makes it only 30 minutes?
Yeah, it's battery.
Okay. If you had 30 of them for a 10-horse field, say, and you had somebody there who could charge them up, and that, could you do it remotely, or would you have to be at the track?
It's just like you would just have to, someone would just have to click the start button, like is the only thing. Like
Okay.
you just have to be there to
So my
actually.
thinking is,
Larry would be good at that. Click the start button.
I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about is it would what it would entail for the tracks or the ADWs, the advanced wagering outfits, how much they would need and how much manpower. That's why I'm trying to figure that out, because I think the idea is so good. It's again, this is something you'll find, and I try to get that out in interviews. I'll win. I never thought of that, Tight. Never. I just
Jessica,
now you see, and that's what it prompted, and that's what a good interviewee does. I'm glad we got that out of you. You know that we all kind of thought it would be a great thing. But I'm just thinking of how you could have clients at 3 tracks going, and you could be there at your laptop control and everything as somebody would have at the track in the day when you had the video production team up there, you know?
Jessica, did you have to get permission from the commission to use the cameras? Because I remember years and years and years ago, probably again before you were born, there was somebody that tried to put like a buzzer under the saddle pad and control it from the grandstand, and they found out about it, and I don't understand how they could. I would think that you would have to get permission from the racing commission to have any kind of device on a driver or a horse in a parimutuel race. You never had to get permission from any commission?
Honestly, no. I didn't even think of it. I was thinking of it like not being anything a big deal. So I've just put it on the drivers, no problems. Like even the Meadowlands Pace, I put it on and there was no issues. The only one before the Hamiltonian, they just asked, you have to get permission from the judges to do it for the Hamiltonian day. That's the only time I've ever had to like ask permission. Other than that, I've just done it and haven't had a problem.
When you asked permission, what did you say? What questions did they ask you?
So they wanted to know what race, what drivers, and they wanted to know that it was like safe, like it wasn't going to fall off during the race and land on the track, which of course I care about the safety of the horses and the drivers first and foremost. So that's my biggest concern. And I also don't want like an $800 camera to fling on the ground. So I make sure 100% it's a safe. So that was pretty much the three things they wanted to know.
Is that about what each little one costs? About 800?
They're about like it ranges. Like the Meta glasses started out at 500, but I think they're down to like 250 now. Like if you get them on sale. The helmet cams, the full kit can cost up to 800, but if you just get the actual camera, I believe it's 450.
But if you had to have for 10 drivers, it would cost you around 8,000 for all those cameras.
I usually it would probably, because the four I bought, I would say the total it cost me, it would have been about 1,200 to 1,500 for the four.
Right.
Like, because I bought the full kit the first time thinking I needed it, but I didn't. You just need the actual camera.
But that's good, because I'm just trying to see if there's any racetrack executives out there watching. It is affordable. I mean, and they do have budgets now for marketing, and you have the track record. And you said, as I was saying, the media training, the first thing that you're in favor of is the health and safety of the drivers. And I'm glad you had that thought out, and that's the way to go. Good for you.
Oh yeah, everything I do, I make sure it's safety first, whether it's like standing inside the pylons or putting a camera inside the pylons. Like I always have to think ahead. Like if a driver goes inside the pylons in an emergency, I don't want them to have to worry about like running something over or a horse stepping on it wrong or something. So that's always my first concern, is because they're human lives, they're animal lives. Like these are like, there's so much more at play here than just getting content. It's just that's the most important thing of any race, in my opinion, is the people and the horses.
I have to ask another stupid question, because I heard you say something. I think Greg said something about drones. They allow somebody to have a drone follow up in the air following a horse race?
They do in I think the Meadows is the only one I know that like routinely does it. Chris Gooden, I believe he's licensed, or at least he's super experienced in doing it. Like, and he has a professional setup and he knows what he's doing. I bought a drone thinking I wanted to try it, and I flew it once, not near any horses, just in the barnyard. And honestly, it was the scariest thing I ever seen. So I sold that because I didn't like it. It was the way the drone moves, and it felt like I had no control when it got really high in the air. I would never trust myself with that with a race, because I feel like if anything goes wrong, if it falls, it lands on a horse, lands in the track, it's not worth the risk for me.
Very
No,
good.
but it's as I say, it's quite an idea that maybe, as they say, would get them to watch it. But
It's absolutely, yeah. It's a really cool angle, and I think it's awesome. What the thoroughbred track on the other side of the street, Saratoga, they do. They have a long power line that stretches the span of the track, and it's a automatic camera that just goes up and down, and it gets you that same view without obstructing the horses or having any risk to the horses. So it's either have a licensed professional, drone flyer, someone who knows what they're doing with the right equipment, or having a setup like that where you don't have to, necessarily worry about those extra risks.
Little history on that for you other guys there. Curtis McDonald would be Anthony James, Anthony James's brother, and there's Curtis, and there is Mark, and you've got the first one. I'm blanking. Lloyd. Okay, I know, and I know the father and the mother very well, Freddie and Gail. Curtis started with the drones when Anthony started the stable.ca, which has become a resounding success. And everybody, including me, thought there is no way. Well, he's really done well. And what he would do is he'd have the drone up so you could be in your office when Anthony has his training day watching your horse on the drone, and you'd get a better view of it. Where if it was just a one still view like the track has, you wouldn't get much of it. But when you think of stuff like this, you could even do it if, you could have it if you bet on number 3, you could press the button and you drive along with number 3. These are things that the football and the other sports I don't think could really do, because there's not the prescribed post time. You got time to get it going. Yeah. And you don't have the plays scattered, and there's no way with those up, especially with football and hockey, with all of the physical contact. I don't think you'd be able to do it. But we'd be probably, unique to that you actually could do it, Jessica. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we have a lot of, I know there's a lot of factors that obviously go into horse racing, but the factors that are going to stay the same are the race distance at each track, and, you're going in the same oval. You could use those factors to your advantage to, set up a really good system to follow the horses around and to get a closer view, whether it be on the drivers, on the horses, or scattered around the track. There's no reason we couldn't have multiple views and multiple angles working.
And now that we have, what is it, an 85-year-old genius sitting there who told me all I had to do was turn off my phone. Where is it? And he's right. You were right. I love to say that I'm wrong, by the way. People don't realize. No, I want to say I'm wrong. See how, Larry, it stopped all that hesitating. So now we know. I just got to do something to get the lighting better. But it stopped the delay. So it was hard to believe that it was mine. You wonder why, huh? Because, Freddie, you have your phone on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't bother yours.
I shut mine off.
But don't jinx me yet. Just don't jinx me.
If you were my daughter, Jessica, what I would say is this. I would say I think the future is going to be drones. And if I was you, I would go back to taking lessons how to do a drone, because that would be the most exciting. That would be the most exciting thing. And especially if the racetracks will let you do it, but you have to be licensed. There's not going to be many people. There's going to be maybe 1 or 2. And because right now anybody could do what you're doing. You may be the best at what you're doing, but I think anybody could do it, but anybody can't do a drone. And I think with a drone, if all you have to do is take lessons and learn how to do it, you can't be afraid to take a chance. I know you don't want to hurt the horse. Right. I know all of that, but things are advancing, and things that are brand new today are obsolete, especially in electronics. They're obsolete in 6 months. In fact, they're 6 months obsolete the minute they hit the shelves. So if I was you, I would look into the drone thing. That's what if you were my daughter, that's what I would do.
Well, I know Trade will agree with me on this. Trade, you can go
What's
right
that?
to New Jersey. There's all kinds of drones over there, right?
Especially over Trump's house. Yes. But
No, but we've been watching them. I don't know about lately, but for the longest time, they were over out in New Jersey and here in Pennsylvania. I could go outside and there was all these drones and nobody knew why they were there. But they were
it's
there.
true.
In,
I
in,
know.
in
There you go,
Virginia,
Jess.
we get in Virginia we get the military.
I like
ones.
the other I like the other I like Jessica's way first because you can get the pan shot. It's the real close up is what hers is going to get. The drone's not even going to get you that close. No.
The thing about the drone is
And there might be drones might create a problem too with the FAA or something. There could be a problem.
Yeah.
They might not want them flying around. Could be that they say if they're too near an airport or something. That's
But they have them
possible.
at all they have them at all the football games and baseball games now, and they don't seem to have a problem.
well, that's what I was gonna
Well,
say.
aren't the
There's that
football games are all
limitation.
within a stadium, though, aren't they? What's that?
Well, you're being on a racetrack.
There's that limitation where you are controlled by the FAA and you can't fly a drone unless you have a permit. And
There you go.
like Saratoga is near an airport, so that does pose a risk. And like I know Florida, they told us no drones like at Pompano because of that same thing because there's an airport nearby. So it is regulated by the FAA. And if people get caught like flying these drones, like I know you see them all over the place or you see them at sporting events, but if they get caught flying them and they don't have a permit or a license, then it is I think it is a federal offense. Like you are like that's a dangerous. Like you can't play with the airspace.
It's probably an FAA deal and a communications, issue as well. Jessica, I want to ask you about your dad. He's always the same. Always nice, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he's always the same. I've known him for a long time. When we'd meet together. I haven't met your mother. So, and they like Saratoga, and you like Saratoga.
Yes, we love Saratoga.
Because you remember what they had to move from when these are victims of Pompano closing. They had to move to Saratoga for the winter. So
yes.
Can you imagine, Jessica, how many winters have you been in Saratoga now, Jess?
This will be my third or fourth.
Okay,
yeah.
So you were 22 years in the sun.
Yes.
In Florida. Yeah. There you go. That'd be a big thing there. That'd be a tough one.
It is.
She does it though.
Yeah, I think about home every day, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about Pompano and everything. And honestly, I would say that's my biggest regret is that what I know now as a photographer and as a content creator and things like that, like I'd give anything to go back and have the helmet cam on Wally for say the last win ever at Pompano, or to have the ability to create and capture Pompano in the light that I have been able to do now. Like that's just the one thing I wish I could go back and do.
Jessica, now that you're in Saratoga, I'm going to put up a picture for 1 second just to show you what you have to look forward to.
Yeah. Trust me, I know it.
Jessica, has the snow been that bad up there the last few years?
The first 2 years we were here, it was like a breeze. Like, well, we thought it was bad. And then everybody's like, no, this isn't a bad winter. And then last winter, it was brutal. It was the worst winter we've had. And it was just so much snow.
You're talking lots of snow, you mean?
Lots of snow, lots of ice. It was slippery. It was just like we couldn't even walk down our driveway. We just kind of slid down because we don't really know how to deal with ice. And that's not our territory. So it was not a fun winter. And they're saying this winter is supposed to be bad too. So I'm not looking forward to it.
No, well, like down here in New Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania, we did not have any snow that I can recall of last winter. And that's been the way for a lot of winters. It's hard to believe, huh?
Yeah.
But again, some say That's because of global warming, isn't that what
Oh
some
yeah,
people
well,
say?
listen, global warming. You know, you want to talk about a big hoax. You know, you want to talk about a fixed hoax. Yeah, let's talk about that. Oh my God, yeah, it's
Well,
unbelievable.
you'll be interested to know is I did a lot of media training at ExxonMobil, and it was still Exxon. Lee Raymond, who was the chairman at before Rex Tillerson came along, who became the
Yeah,
Secretary of State under Trump. Lee Raymond said that there was no such thing as global warming. And, oh, what problem causes? So I remember going in and said, well, you could never say do this. I said, well, could we maybe say this? There are factors out there that's we can't say yes, we can't say no, but we're continuing, which they were, investing millions, if not billions of dollars into studying it. The same as, if you live next to a chemical or an oil refinery, they'll say you have a greater chance of getting cancer. And that's the case. You can't prove yes and you can't prove no because there's so many variables of the people that are there. Maybe that particular area they smoke more, they do whatever. That's they're more around cancer causing agents, could be asbestos or whatever. That's for sure. But Jess, we can't get into that anymore, Trade, because you know what happens if you do that. The whole show will shut down. Can't talk politics. Right? No, it'll shut it right down. Jessica, okay, so your parents are there, and then what do you think that Wally will do? Like, because Billy O'Donnell said that Wally said to him one time, well, how would you retire? Billy said, well, you don't have to. What do you mean? Well, he said you'll pick up the sheet and you won't see your name, so they'll retire
Right.
you. Don't worry about that. But I see no end in sight for him. He's going the same as ever.
I know every year he says it's his last year, and he swears this year is his last year, but I still don't believe it. I'll believe it when I see it, to tell you the truth. But I think he'll go back to Florida. He'll go crazy if he's not, in the bike doing what he does best. I think, honestly, I think his best fit, like if he really wants to, stop driving, to stay out of the bike, I think broadcast, like something like that. Like if he could, like Ron Waples, like if he could just like get into a spot, like even what John Campbell does, like still have a spot in racing, but to continue on that way. Like Bill O'Donnell, he's not in the bike anymore, but he still has a hands-on approach to harness racing. Like he's still involved. So I think he needs something like that if he stops driving. But I think his heart's in it. I think he's always gonna have a piece of him in racing.
And
You
did
know what
Wally
most of the
do
racetracks need?
the
Most of the
America
race-
Race Day live this year? Was it Hamiltonian Day? And he did a real good job.
Yeah, it was I can't recall the exact day, but he did do a broadcast on the Thoroughbred side. It was recent, and he did a great job, and he has a flair for it. Like I said, every time I put the camera on him, he just goes right into this mode where he's good at talking to the fans. He's personable. He likes everything about it. I think it's his forte. So he'd be perfect in that kind of like scenario where he's either educating or talking about the races, or anything of the sorts is I think he'd be perfect for.
I think that
Well, and we need it because, to me, we're the only sport who has all talent, if you will. They're all broadcasters doing the in-house shows, except for Randy Waples, who's very animated, and people, I like him very much. A lot of people, and Wally could do that spot too, though. But he might, miss being on the track because he's still. It's just one of those things. He still got it. It's an amazing thing, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. He doesn't miss a step, and he's still, like you said, he's still winning 5, 6, 7 races a day and still setting those records. So, in my opinion, he's still in his prime.
How old is he now?
I would say this.
How old is he? How old
He's
is
just
Wally?
69, is he, Jess?
Just turned 69.
Oh yeah.
I'll
Every
give him
driver-
this. I'll say
every
this.
driver-
He's the greatest I say he's the greatest driver ever that did not want to become a regular at the Meadowlands or wasn't a regular. That's how good I think he is. I'll stand by that opinion. You think about it.
What were you saying, Larry? You were saying something.
No, because he could have been. Remember, he won the Woodrow Wilson for Joe Holloway. Oh, yeah. He won the Hamilton Oaks with Moneymaker, but he liked the lifestyle of Florida and didn't want the Meadowlands. In the heyday, he could have been there. Absolutely. That took a lot of confidence to know that and just didn't want to do it, so he didn't do it.
Was he a draw?
So
was he a draw?
Greatest ever didn't.
Greg and Jessica, was he a
What's
draw? I mean, he's great. Don't get me wrong, and he's got a good name, Wally Hennessy. But was he a draw like Walter Case was up in Pocono, down in?
Well,
down in
nobody
Pocono?
was the draw like Walter Case. I would say this: the biggest draws, Walter Case, Campbell, and O'Donnell in the day. Even though Freddie says he's asked people out in front of grocery stores and nobody remembers them, but in the day, they were the brand. And you might appreciate this too, Jessica. I hope your parents and Wally and everybody are watching it tonight, because things like John Campbell and Billy O'Donnell, by being the brand, you'd call them, they were the preferred brand of the day. That was in the day when the Meadowlands Sports and Exposition Authority, the bills were mostly paid by the standardbred meat. People don't realize that from 1976 till probably into the 80s, that paid all the bills, and they were the brand there. The same now as far as Wally goes, trade.
That might have went further than the 80s.
What's that?
It might have went further than the 80s for them.
O'Donnell and Campbell?
No, the Meadowlands paying the bills for the whole sports complex. I meant into the 80s. I don't know. Probably by the time I got here in 90, I'd say you didn't look around and you didn't think that anyway. Even though Muscle Hill, the place was, a lot like now they're set up for 5,000, but so they could hold a lot more in the day. Mm-hmm. But I would say this, Jessica, in the day at Pompano years ago, Ted Taylor from Michigan would be the top driver. Then Mickey McNichol came along and took over. Then Bill Fahey was good. Then Peter Wren, Bruce Ranger, and Wally Hennessy. And Bruce Ranger is still winning lots in Maine, and he tried to retire. He became the starter up in Maine. He's back driving again. And the two of them were 1-2 all the time in Pompano, right? And there were years where Ranger might have been ahead, which is hard to believe. And I think I'm right, aren't I, Jessica? Well, I think your father told me that he won 12 titles. Is that in Pompano or he said Saratoga, he never stayed long enough. He wasn't there in the winter, say.
Yes,
so
Saratoga,
it was 12
he was just there for
titles he won in Pompano.
It must be, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Bruce Ranger probably won those ones he didn't win.
Yeah. Yeah, it was between
I want to say something. I want to say two things. I want to ask one question and I want to make one statement. All the drivers in the country today would be a whole lot happier if there was a Wally Hennessy up in the judge's booth and one of the three guys up there. This way, at least they'd be confident in knowing that whatever happens on the racetrack, there's one of them up in the judge's booth that know what the hell's going on. Yeah, that's my statement. The other thing I want to ask, because I always meant to ask and I never did, what bike did you use for Muscle Hill, Greg? Greg froze again.
Greg, you there?
He froze again. I guess.
Well, I think maybe Brian brought his own bike. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know, but I always wanted to ask that, and I keep forgetting to ask it. But anyway,
what was the question, Larry?
The question was, what kind of race bike did you use on Muscle Hill?
Oh, sorry, because I couldn't hear you again. There, now nobody can say I'm buttoned in now because I couldn't hear you. Thank God for once. He wore the Tom Harmer Evolution, I think they called it. It was the first generation of what the sulkies are now. Where they're offset and they they lift a little bit, and they have the stirrups are easy to adjust. They're not like the old ones in the day where you have to get a wrench out, and, where the leather and the two steel ends, man. It would be a pain in the butt to have to change stirrups, but that's what they did. So that's what he pulled. So you could argue, I think the bikes but in those days, Tom Harmer, and I bought a few of his bikes because he was very good to me. Because when Muscle Hill went to Chicago, Tom Harmer called me and said, "Would you like the horse to stay at my place?" And Sylvia and Molly said he really had a beautiful place. He had it all set up when they got there. It was so nice of him to do that. But he thought that for trackability, that the bikes were better off being a little heavier. Now that was just a train of thought. Why? Because I asked him why he didn't go immediately to the lighter ones. Because remember, as far as light, the old Nassaus, the early Nassaus with the stirrups on the outside of the shafts, they were light, right? Remember them?
Oh yeah.
They were the first Nassaus.
I actually didn't use the stirrups. I put my feet underneath on the bar there.
Back to the 70s.
Oh, Greg, I guess it's not his phone.
Well, Larry, are there any
Now,
questions
what
for
did he
Jessica?
say?
No, I guess it's not your phone because you keep freezing up. So I don't know what the problem is with you. Maybe you don't have enough internet speed. I don't know what the problem is, but
Could be.
every
Yeah,
week.
there's something, but I'll get it fixed. Jessica, anything
Yes.
you want to add? Because we've had you here for near 2 hours, and that's enough for anybody. Anything you want to add?
I think we pretty much covered it. Pretty much everything I do is for the horsemen and the horses and the betterment of the sport. And it's all about, focusing on them because they're the heroes, the drivers, the horses, the horsemen that are in the barn day in and day out. So, if the videos, if the photos, if the stories, if something just shines a light where we can just get like more fans, even if it's just one more fan follows because they like something I post, I think that's a win in my book. So I think the sport needs to continue to change in order to draw the fans in, and whether that's by social media, by new angles on the track, or new perspectives for fans, or to get the fans involved in owning horses. I think there's so many different avenues we could try, and I don't think it hurts to try. So that's just pretty much what I like to do, and I'm glad that people like it too.
Jessica, you're a beautiful, young, smart, intelligent girl, and I wish you a lot of luck. You're a
Thank you
brave
very
girl,
much.
nice girl, and I thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Jess. Okay.
and
You go by Jess or Jessica?
Either way, depends on who's talking.
Okay. John, I'll call you in a little while. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, Jessica,
That's
go
a
to
problem.
sleep now. Go to
Yeah.
bed. Thank you so
Right.
much for coming on.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Jessica. Thanks,
Good night,
Jessica. You
Jessica.
were great.
Yep. Thank you very much.
I have one more question for Jessica. Wait. Hold on a second.
Yes.
Jessica, I'm sure you've jogged and maybe trained a horse. Have you ever raced in an amateur race?
I
yourself?
haven't. I actually have not had that experience yet.
I say,
I've done a lot of riding, and like you said, I've been in the jog cart. I've actually never been in the race
Sulky?
bike, and
Oh, no?
yeah, no, I'd like to try it, but I don't know. I think I gotta get some more confidence in before I try that.
You'll
That's
try
why-
it one of these days, yeah.
Yes, one
Yeah,
of
you
these
need-
days.
All right, listen, thanks a lot. You were great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Good night,
You too.
Jessica.
Good night, Jessica.
Yeah, good night.
You know what we really should do now? We should
She's a
talk
real
about
nice-
trades. We should talk about trades political posts on Facebook.
Oh,
You don't know. It's so funny. You don't want to talk about them. You know why?
No.
We can if you want. But I put such a lot of crazy stuff up. But the thing is, there's a couple of guys that want to interview me musically.
Oh yeah. I'm
And
sure.
then they go to my page, and they
Uh-oh.
see my page. And they go, "Oh man!" And they call up. They send me an email, say, "Gee, we have to reschedule." They don't want to reschedule. They just don't want me on there. They just don't want me on the show. I mean, I'm not going to talk about politics if that's.
And you know what
if
the
show's
sad
about
thing
me.
is?
Right.
That's
Right.
what makes a show good. Somebody who has an opinion. Freddie had a gentleman on who shall remain nameless, and darn it all, he had to take it down. And I
Oh
tell
yeah!
you,
Oh
what
my
a show!
God!
And I
That
wish he
was
could
the
just
only
do what he
one.
did.
I had
But Freddie had to
telephone
take it
calls
down. He
coming
couldn't
in.
take the pressure.
Let me say something. I want to say two things again. First, I
I
want
can
to
get
say
him on Larry's show.
everybody that's in making comments, everybody in the comment list, I'm gonna by a little later. I'm gonna get to all the comments. I will because we've
Okay.
been neglecting you. The second thing is, I used to go see Trade Martin almost every night wherever he played, especially at the Meadowlands. When he started with the political stuff, I must have broke up 5 fights in different nightclubs because half the crowd in there were Democrats, the other half were Republicans, and they would start fighting and arguing and everything. And I'd have to walk over and say, "Listen, pal, this is my friend's club. Please just stop, or one of you's got to leave."
I was only joking around. I'm only joking. I wasn't really like a Springsteen going, "Oh man, this guy's no good," and
No,
everything.
you were. Yeah, you were. No, you're right. You didn't do what Springsteen did, but
No.
you still stirred some of them up. Where
Yeah.
sometimes it got a little nasty out there.
One night I put a burqa on, and I was on stage and I put a burqa on, and I was just kidding around, about the Muslims and Islam and stuff like that. And at the end of the thing, the lady goes, "You're making fun of the Muslims," and I said, "I'm not making fun of them." I said, I'm having fun. I said, if you can't have fun, I said, then you shouldn't really go out. Just stay home and watch the news on television or something. And
Well, I'm one of them guys that I really believe, and I really believe this. This is why I never comment. I have my own views, and I try to keep them to myself.
Right.
I really believe that singers and actors and everything, that they should just stick trade. And this is my opinion.
that's true. No, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
You are so talented in so many ways. You don't have to. You don't have to do what you did. It used to bother me so much because I enjoyed your band and your music so much. Even when you played with that other guy, the piano player that sings that song, She.
Yeah, Al De Leon. Yeah.
De Leon or whatever that
The
plays.
Filipino guy.
I couldn't wait for them nights to get there. And you'd sit at the piano and I'd be enjoying myself so much. And here it comes all of a sudden. I says, "Oh my God, I got to sit through." And even there, you got some of the people upset. What is he talking about? I come here to listen to him sing. I didn't come here to talk about Nancy Pelosi.
I used to do a thing on the people, on the guys, the illegals in the kitchen, and I used to go, "Alimento," that they were non-American, and where the Nat King Cole song was unforgettable. I used to go, "Undocumento." That's what they are. Undocumento. They belong behind the bar, and I mean, most of the people used to go crazy. They used to laugh like anything, because it was just making
Larry,
fun.
he's an artist, and part of his art, again, his artistic freedom is comedy. And for at least 50% of Americans, they get quite a kick out of what he does say. But the irony is with the man who shall remain nameless president, you're allowed to go out in public and say you hate him, but if you like him, where in any other country in the world, you wouldn't go out and say you hate the leader, would you?
No, of course
No.
you couldn't say that. You couldn't say
No,
that.
you couldn't say that. No. It's, again, we won't get into it because I've gotten
Hey, Trade. Did we
Yeah.
keep that line in the new song for the Meadowlands, where we're basically changing the lyrics around? Did we keep the end part there? Where Garou rules.
I'm going to finish that up in the next couple of weeks.
undocumented. Larry, for you, I've been
Undocumented.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. That's all right.
No, sing it one more. Sing it. Hit it again, Trade.
Undocumented. That's what they are. Undocumented.
Okay.
That's right.
No, I know. You liven it up here, Larry. I've been watching the crawl, we'll call it, of the questions, so you don't have to go back through them. I've been doing the consensus, like pretty well up until now, about what people are saying here, and I think that's a good way to do it. Yeah, we forgot another guy who did well in Pompano years was Smoking Joe Pavia. When we were talking, but again, he wasn't like I was trying to go through history who were the leading drivers in Pompano. Because remember, in Pompano, that was the place to be. Jeffrey also says he hopes that Larry has a movie someday, but he has more than a 2-hour movie in him. Oh yeah, no. Larry's got he's got as many shows in him as Larry David, I would say. He could do the 13 seasons starting now, probably.
You know the biggest problem I'm having now, and it's really a problem, and I hope I live long enough for them to straighten it out, because it's been going back and forth. Nicholas Pileggi and Richard Price, two of the greatest writers and screenwriters in the country, and naturally Pileggi did Goodfellas and Casino and all of them. They sat with me for days and for hours. And at the end, they went back and told, this was in 2019, they went back and told Sony Pictures and Village Roadshow, which is the largest distribution of film in the world, that this can't be a movie. You have to redo all the contracts, and there's too much material. And what's in the book is really nonsense compared to the stories he left out that he was willing to tell us. That have to be so it has to be a series. Then COVID happened, and that lasted for 2 years. Then after COVID, the Valongo brothers were going to do it, and we were talking about a TV series, and then one of the brothers died, so that ended that. Then come the other guy that writes for Law and Order. He did about 50 TV series. I can't think of his name. Very famous guy. He wanted to do the TV series, and we were supposed to meet. I think it was May 2nd of 2 years ago, and then I flew out to California, and the actors, the writers went on strike, so we couldn't do nothing. That lasted 9 months. Then the actors went on strike right after that. Then the unions went on strike. That brings us right up to today. Now today, it's almost impossible to get a TV series done, but it's easy.
No, I thought you said it was easier to do TV today.
No, it used to be when we were doing it.
Yeah, you did say that. Yeah.
Now it's tougher. Now the biggest stars have trying to make TV series, and they're turning them down. So the bottom line is, it's easier to make a movie, but if you make a movie, 90% of my life, which is not even in the book, would be left out. And that's why Pileggi said he convinced them to do it. But then the COVID happened, and I made the biggest mistake I made was, after COVID ended, they got in touch with me. They told me that their option, because they paid me for the option for my life story, the option ran out. It was for 16 months, and they were willing to pay me again, but they couldn't give me a date when they would restart. And I said, well, the only problem with that is that I'm 83 years old. That's what I was at the time. And if it's going to be a year or 2 or 3, I'll be dead. So they said to me, well, we had a lot of major films that we were in the middle of doing with major stars that we have to complete them before we start yours. And I said, I understand, but so I'm not going to re-sign. That was my biggest mistake. And so now I'm at a situation now where if I want to get it done, it has to be a movie. But I have a little hope because I'm with a major guy right now that I think he wants to do a TV series. And so we'll see. The only thing is, everybody knows it was my 85th birthday yesterday. And thank you.
No kidding. Happy birthday. I didn't know that.
I must have got 3,000 wishes, happy birthday wishes. And so that's why I mentioned it. 85, how much, I passed life expectancy by 7 years already. So right now I'm at the point where I used to care who was going to play me. Now I don't care if it's Donald Duck. Let's just get it done, and make a few dollars and go out on a high note. But I don't know if it's going to happen. But I just hope I live long enough.
Listen, Larry, if I were 10 years younger, I got news for you. I would get together with you, and I would get together with a couple of people that I know, and we would get this movie done. I do a movie. These guys are full of crap. It's got to be a
Trade. Let me say this, Trade. Let me say this. I know that what you just said is true. Let me say this. There's a guy out there called Kevin Donato. He's an actor. He's been in a lot of different things, and his wife is a famous actor. I just don't remember her name.
Yeah.
He came over my house a couple of times, and he started out maybe 20 years ago when, looking for parts as an actor, trying to break into it, even though he was doing good, but it took too long in between gigs. So he started making his own movies, and he made the first one for $30,000, then the next one for $80,000. And through the years, he made all of these major connections with distribution in Europe and all over the world. And he has everything in place. He even has his own. Now he's up to making movies for $1 million. And this year, I think he's doing 3 or 4 of them. So he told me, I met with him at some affair a few months back. And he said, listen, he says, if nothing happens, he says, I could make for $1 million, I can make your movie and make it look like a $10 million movie. He says, and the reason I say $1 million is because we could eliminate all the unions and everything else, which eat up $2-3 million on each thing. And I looked at all his movies that he made, and the one he made, he has a movie out there now called Bastard Sons. He made that about 2 years ago, but that's the only name I remember, Bastard Sons.
Uh-huh.
I think he made that movie for $30,000 or $40,000. And you watch that movie, and you could find it someplace. It's around. And you watch that movie, you think it's a regular, good, big production
movie. Yeah.
It's not. But what's holding me up is the Hollywood bullshit that they love it, and then I got a phone call a month ago that's that famous actress. She has a production company, and they love the book, they love everything, they loved it, and we'll get back to you. We're on set now. We'll get back to you. And then you're constantly waiting for phone calls. But I made up my mind that if nothing happens by the end of the year, I'm going to try to. I don't have it, but I'm going to try to raise $1 million. Give it to Kevin and to Donato. And just this way, I control everything. I control everything, and we can, I could put the people in it that I want. I don't have to worry about some major corporation who wants to play me, and he comes and they show up with a blonde-haired, blue-eyed,
jerk,
actor, so that's what the plan is. I'll just wait it out because there's 3 companies that are very, very interested. One wants to do a TV series, and they're major companies. I don't want to name them, but they're major. And so I'm
What
just gonna
about
wait it out. But you know, if I was 40 years
what
old,
about the what about the Netflix or the HBOs of the world? To tell you why, you know what I noticed now? Take like De Niro. There's got to be 3 recent movies I've never heard of that De Niro was in. Can you imagine? Like before, everything would be a blockbuster that he would have. I've seen Pacino, the same thing. Now, I haven't seen your man Joe Pesci in movies I haven't heard about, but there
he
must be
retired.
something that they can
His
do.
AI did a trade Martin and
My buddy Joe, I sold him my first guitar. I sold him my first Stratocaster, Fender Stratocaster guitar. But listen, me and him used to have a group together when we were 13, 14 years old. But listen, the thing is, the reason you're not hearing about De Niro is because he's doing crappy stuff, and he's not a
Yeah.
well-liked guy now. You know, I mean, it's
Well, there's a certain somebody that he said some terrible things about. Who again
no, it's
shall
not only because of
remain
that.
nameless on this show.
It
He
isn't
has
even
said
that.
much worse than Bruce Springsteen has said.
But
Wouldn't
it
you
doesn't
agree,
matter what he
Mr.
said about who we're talking about. I'm not even going to mention his name because everybody knows his name. But I'm not going to mention his name. De Niro is a real lefty. He's a left-wing hack. That's all he is. He's like Barbara Streisand. He's a left-wing hack. I mean, you know, it's I don't. If he doesn't like Trump, he doesn't like Trump. That doesn't bother me. But you know, even I haven't spoken to Joe Pesci, but De Niro discovered Joe. Otherwise, Joe wouldn't even be in the movies. You know. But he discovered Joe. He brought him into the movies. That's the best thing De Niro ever did. And I turned down doing the score for De Niro's first picture that he was his first big role, which was in Bang the Drum Slowly. The director wanted me to do the score. He was after me. He kept calling me. And I went to the screening of Bang the Drum Slowly. It was about 4 hours. And the minute that De Niro, who I didn't even know who he was, but De Niro says in the movie, he goes, "I'm doomed it. I got cancer." I said to my partner, Eddie, I said, "Let's get out of here." I said, "I don't want to do a movie about somebody who's got cancer and stuff like that. Let's get out of here."
Yeah.
And he goes, no, we got to stay. So I stayed for the whole screening, but I didn't answer his calls. I didn't do the score for the movie. You know, I did a couple other movie scores, but not that one. And that's the first I heard of De Niro, and that's my first encounter with De Niro.
David just posted something up. I just happened to look at the thing, but what David here says is true, that the movies go right to streaming. That's what it's all about now.
Same thing with the records. Absolutely.
Yeah, and what I understand is that I think it's Fox that's trying to buy up everything, and then they lease them to all these streaming companies. I think that's what's going on, but I try not to pay too much attention to it because I get aggravated.
Trade, I wonder, does Pesci still have that guitar you sold him?
I don't know.
Well, that'd be a collector's item.
I haven't. Oh yeah, it's probably worth 30,000 now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I doubt it. We were young kids then, and I was selling my guitar to him. It was less than $200 at the time. That guitar was worth a lot more now. Like I said, around 30,000.
Well, as everything is.
Yeah, but I mean, no. Now it's a collector's item. That guitar, Stratocaster, that particular. It was a 58. It was a 58 Stratocaster. That's what it was. But anyway,
for those who like right-wing humor, will say they really should friend Trade on Facebook, and you'll be entertained every day, maybe even every hour at times, or every few minutes.
I got a guy.
All original stuff too.
Yeah, listen, I got a guy. Well, I tell you, I opened for George Carlin. He was my buddy, George, and we became pretty friendly. But that's not who I learned from. But I mean, I didn't learn anything from him. But I opened up for him as a singer. But what I was going to say, I'm conversing with this guy from Canada who thinks he knows everything about American politics, and I mean, he sounds like such a rube, you know. But almost like me driving against Dexter Dunn. It would be that same kind of thing. He's talking to me about politics, American politics, and he knows nothing, you know. But what are you going to do?
Well, my sons, they say that about their cousins in Canada because they're cousins on my side are all in Canada. That's what they say. Oh, they don't live here and they don't know. But but anyway, listen. I just find it easier not to say anything when normally I'm just happy that we diagnosed the problem, because I got to apologize for everybody for every show, the interruptions. Now we know where the issue is. Here's the other thing. It's mine. And it looks like the less people you have, maybe the more bandwidth I need or something. I don't know. Because it's interesting. It's not happening at all with just the four of us.
Yeah,
and
you're
by
right.
the way, Larry.
You're right.
Yeah. Well, because I'll tell you what, I was thinking I'd like to do a show with you with Mike Garino. I talked to him for now. That's Joe's son who was online. For those who didn't watch Tuesday night, Joe Garino, who was the all-time leading trainer, right?
Yeah.
In New York?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And Mike could tell you exactly, yeah, I can't do any of that. I can't. It was him who told me about the Wally Hennessy deal today, over 30 years with 200 wins or more. With that being said, yeah, I'd like to get him on a show, so we'd have to squeeze him in somehow, because I don't want, I'm going to get my service checked, that's for sure. But and it could be still part of the what do they call it? SteamYard or whatever. Yes, StreamYard.
Yeah, but here's what you should do.
Because
This is
if you do Microsoft Teams or Zoom, and you can have 30 people on there. I did Microsoft or Zoom today. There were 60 people on it. There wasn't any problem. So you see what I'm saying? I don't know what to say. Maybe
just
for that.
first thing
And I
you
also
should
noticed.
check your internet speed.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Yeah,
But
check
it did help when I turned the phone off, and then it helped again when Jessica signed up.
Yeah.
My gosh, we were lucky to have her, huh? Wasn't she a
if your
sweetheart to
internet
have?
if your internet speed is not, my internet speed now is 600 going in and going out. It used to be, when it used to be 30 and 40, it used to freeze all the time and everything. So check your internet speed first, because you keep freezing no matter what you do. You're always freezing. There's always a delay. So fix it up, because you're too good at what you do. We don't, and especially if you come on with Peter Garino, that's going to be an interesting conversation back and forth.
Mike, you mean?
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, what did I say, Chris?
Yeah.
Boy, I'm losing it.
Peter,
Yeah, Mike.
enough.
Yeah, Mike. I may meet him one day, because I'm working on something, and I didn't know him before he came on the show, but he's a brilliant kid, and he knows about.
Oh God, he was very pleasant. I really enjoyed him. Well, Joe, as I said, the father, he gets it honestly. He's by a good sire, huh? Joe's a good communicator. He calls me, says I'm going to have because I called him, I guess, after the show last night or Tuesday night, and said I'd like to speak to him. Joe calls me today, but Mike had phoned me before that, so we're lucky to have them, and I must say, I am very thankful to John Hallett did reach out to me about Jessica, because I mean, for a show that they're probably saying, well, you guys are too old there, to be telling us anything. We came up with a pretty good strategy, that, because to me, I'll say it again, the only way we're going to get the gamblers is off track. I don't think might get it. You'll get them on. Listen, I was in France, okay, on a regular night in France. There's nobody there in Paris. They say if you go to Solvalla, Sweden, on a Wednesday night, nobody there. It's everywhere. Churchill Downs. but you can't have an event that often. Like if you look at the Hamiltonian this year, for the size of the grandstand, that what was interesting, it looks like it's filled now. And I've had this idea. I've told people before about my strategy of making the Meadowlands a stadium. And then Monday night, you could have Pennsylvania night, use the Pennsylvania condition sheet, whatever they want. Tuesday, make it Delaware night. Wednesday, Maryland night. Thursday, New York night. Friday, whatever night. Okay. And use the Meadowlands because it's a great stadium. If it's set up for the younger people who would like to go to the races today, where the other new grandstands that have been built, basically you have the horses. If you got more than 1,000 fans, you might have a problem because they just build all casino and just whatever the minimum amount required is what they have for the people who go to the horse races. So I don't know how you do that. But again, I think what we could start to do over the short term is do things like she does and get more off track handle. And somehow I've said this in the show before that. And Gabe, she mentioned Gabe Pruitt, and she's right. Gabe Pruitt is phenomenal. Like I can remember when he started, he was the announcer at the Red Mile when they have the early meet where the cheaper horses would come from Mississippi and places like that. Now he does all this simulcasting, announces. He never stops. But guys like that say that we started with the wrong deal, that when we made the deal with the OTBs and the simulcast outlets is that they only get 3%. If you bet the Meadowlands on your computer, it's only like 3 points. It's probably all different ones now because there's so many different. But the rule of thumb of the day, you get 3% off track and 10% on track. Well, they really would have needed to do it the other way if they had anticipated, that it's going to get to be more and more of an off venue betting experience.
Mm-hmm.
You see what David Arthur just put up there? David Arthur says, I'm getting a petition to get Joe G into the Hall of Fame. Now, I said something about this the other night that I don't know, but I don't know if Mike is listening, Joe's son. But I would like to find out, because Joe was leading trainer at every racetrack he went to every year for 10 years. I don't know. That's pretty hard to do, in my opinion. And I don't know if any other trainer was leading trainer for that long at any racetrack or whatever. But every racetrack he went to, whether it be Rockingham, Meadowland, wherever, he was leading trainer. I have. In fact, there were a couple of things I forgot to put up. Like here, I forgot. He sent me a bunch of stuff and I lost it. But here he was the leading trainer at Rockingham. Here he's leading trainer, trainer of the year award. Here he's another leading for 10 years in a row. So so when David Arthur says I'm going to get a petition to get Joe in, if no other trainer, and I know that one year Mike Agliardi was leading trainer, next year somebody else leading trainer, but who was leading trainer for 10 years in a row? I don't know of any. And if
Buddy Reagan maybe,
but I don't
Freddie?
know. But
Buddy Reagan maybe.
Well, it depends on, are you talking national or racetracks? There's a big difference. Like national,
No, I'm talking about 10 years in a
Houghton
row.
was like
Buddy,
10 years,
about 10
probably
years,
longer.
Buddy, what? In the Roosevelt days,
Right.
back, I guess it would be the 60s or so. Buddy Reagan might have had 10 years.
Yeah, Buddy came along. He was there for a while, but you got to remember, like up until about the I'm going to say mid 70s, maybe 70. Nobody knew who the leading trainer was. The trainers weren't recorded. The drivers were. So I couldn't tell you who the leading trainer was in 1960.
I can tell you now. Now go right to ChatGPT or O'Donnell, I know he can get you way back before anything you want to know. Before he has a program way before they're talking about 1991. Now he's got all kinds. He'll give you whatever you want. Just call him. He'll read it off to you. And it's
I
true.
just
I
don't
don't
understand.
know. They didn't
Regan-
record the trainers back then, and Buddy was, he was the top trainer for multiple years. I don't know how many. So,
Yeah.
but Buddy came along. He was probably there. I'm going to say 6 years. He was probably top trainer in New York. I don't think he was more.
If you
longer
ask,
than
I know
6.
you'd have to ask. Well, I can look it up, but if you ask guys like O'Donnell and LaChance and them, I know they're going to tell you when they think of a trainer at Roosevelt, Yonkers in the day, they'd say Buddy Regan.
Okay, but if you go back to the
Buddy
40s
Regan
and
played-
50s, you're not gonna find them. I don't think so.
Well,
Yeah,
no. Yeah, that you might not find.
And I'm going into the 60s. Buddy Regan came along. He took over Frank Malika's stable when Frank got kicked out. That's how Buddy came along, and that was around, I'm going to say 67. So
Yeah.
And Buddy had worked for Joe O'Brien previously before he went out on his own also. So I knew Buddy pretty well. Buddy was a good guy. So
Yeah. But as far as the Hall of Fame, David, it's a political thing.
it took us 11 years to get Lucian in. We worked on 4 guys: Lucian, Teddy Wing, Billy Popfinger, and Benny Webster. We got 3 of them in. 1 we didn't.
Yeah.
And
No Jackie
Billy.
Moe. No
Great.
Luke Willett. I'm thinking ones that aren't in
No,
there.
they weren't. They wouldn't get in.
Well, they should.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Remember Luke Willett. Okay, John Campbell was at or near the top for 5 decades. Nobody else is ever going to do that one. Well, Wally Hennessy's probably been great for 5 decades. We better check that out. I might have that.
there's a lot of politics
I
with
just
it. I'm
thought of
telling
Wally
you,
Hennessy. What's that?
there's a tremendous amount of politics getting someone into the Hall of Fame.
Okay, yeah.
I'm telling you, like, we worked on it. We got Lucian. Lucian got in about 3 months, and then he dies later.
He got
Teddy
in
Wing,
the
we
seniors category,
worked trying to get Teddy in, and by the time Teddy got in, his mind was shot. He had dementia, and he was just he didn't even know. And Teddy, and I'll tell you who helped get Teddy into the Hall of Fame, and nobody knows this: Mark Ford. Mark pushed to help out get him, and that's what pushed him over the hump.
Yeah. Well, it's a political. But if you think of Luke Willett so Jackie Moe came out and became the big competition to John Campbell. Then it was Luke Willett.
Yep.
Another one that a lot of people.
And then
say.
you got Eddie Davis too. So I mean, you can
Well,
go
you
down
have regional guys like Eddie Davis,
Yep.
Tony Morgan. You have Eddie Davis, Tony Morgan, Billy Parker Jr. There's 3 right there.
And then
regional guys
basically,
with a lot of wins.
you got to race on the Grand Circuit someplace along the line to get into the Hall of Fame. You need to be a Grand Circuit
that's
driver
right.
trainer.
Because that's what the Hamiltonian Society and the Hall.
That's where all the politics are. That's
Nobody's
where all the votes are.
disputing Joe's credentials, but it's the reality of how they do choose them, huh? Like it's look at owners. Jeffrey Snyder.
I'll
has
reopen.
won 4.
I'll-
Listen to this.
I will
Jeffrey
reopen the
Snyder's
brief-
won 4 North American Cups, 3 Little Meadowlands Paces, 3 Little Brown Jugs, 3 Adioses, multiple Breeders' Crowns, and he owns, in a time of partnerships, he owns at least half the horse, not a tenth of 10% like they do in that now. No, he's not in it. Okay, there's Jerry Silva. Look at the way before Muscle Hill, and I know it was Pieces, but he's another one, like in an owner category. What would him say? You'd have to. You can look at them. There's so many, that you would have to do. And what helped Wally, going back to your Grand Circuit, is he went around the world with Moneymaker, and that helped. That really got him noticed. No, he was noticed before that, but when people think of him, they, most think of about Moneymaker, So, but he did it on the Grand Circuit, and he was polite and spoke well, but he's in both Hall of Fames in Canada and the U.S. Yeah. I'll be in the Hall of Shame, by the way, not the Hall of Fame. Hall of Shame. Trade, if you keep singing those songs too, yeah, because I'm still thinking of the Nat and Natalie Cole, because I had a filly I named her Unforgettable,
Oh, really? Yeah, yeah.
as in the song. So
But
now,
this is
what do you think I'm going to be thinking all night? I'm going to be humming here now.
Undocumento is
Yeah.
undocumento though. Instead unforgettable. But
Larry,
listen,
were you born in Jackson Heights?
Yes. I said,
I
was
had an
just looking at
aunt
the
and
comment.
uncle.
Yeah.
I
What's
had an
that?
aunt and an uncle that moved from Nova Scotia that had a bar there, and I can't think of the bar. That's back in the 60s and 70s. His name was Charlie Camerata, Italian guy, but I don't know what the name of the bar was. But it was in Jackson Heights, huh?
Yeah, that's what, yeah,
Which is
that's
in Queens, correct?
Queens. Yeah, right
Yeah,
right
yeah.
next to Astoria, East Elmhurst, Corona.
all right.
It's right there, all, blocks apart. Yeah. It was a good area, good Italian area, that whole area. Then Astoria turned into all Greeks, and East Elmhurst and them, that turned into all blacks, and then up in Corona, all Italians. But yeah, I grew up in right around there. I left early, but that's where I grew up.
David asks a question, by the way. See, these questions I think should be picked up. Why didn't they want to let Ted Wing in? What political forces were against him? What? Well, being a very close friend of his for years, I don't know that there was anybody against him. It's that we've had so many that were around longer that won a lot more money and a lot more wins that aren't in. So
No, that's not it at all. Basically,
not?
other people were on the agenda, and they were pushing their own people. So they had their own people that they were pushing to get in ahead of them, and that went on for. I mean, you have the chapters that vote for people. I think Teddy got 3 chapters one time, 2 chapters. When he has 3 chapters, they put someone in that had 2 chapters. That's just the way it went. The same thing with Lucian. Lucian had 4 chapters vote for him, write him in, 4 chapters. They put the guy in who got 2 chapters. A lot of politics played there, and there was a lot of fighting going on there. I fought on that, trying to get people into the Hall of Fame for 12 years. So it's a lot of politics with it.
All right, Joe Garino just called in. He says, Larry, just for the record, no one has won more training titles than me in New York, and no one has won more amount of races than I won in New York, and that's the history of New York racing. How could he not be in the Hall of Fame of trainers?
No. And Joe, as you know, I agree with you. And we've already said that. But when we got talking, Joe, do you know this? Mike, if Mike Garino was watching, Mike Garino will know probably who is second to Joe in titles. Would it be Buddy Regan, maybe? Maybe I'm way off on that. Or before Joe, like George Anthony, but I don't think he was around that long. But he was the leading trainer in the Case days for sure. George Anthony, don't forget him. Since I was around anyway. But Mike, if you're out there, or Joe, I'm wondering who was second. But Joe, yeah, we appreciate not only your credentials. You're a great guy too. So
oh yeah, 100%.
It goes back to what Freddie said. There's more politics than I say there is, because to me, I don't know why this year, for instance, is there any trainer or driver going in?
I haven't looked, so I haven't looked.
I know David Reed is going in from Preferred, and somebody said to me, well, why him? He's really done well. I mean, remember his partner and friend Jeff Stein died, and he took it over himself, and he took it to a new level. He managed the stallions. Now he does the Lexington sale of that. So, he's done pretty well, but he's done very well. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's any trainers and drivers, and I wonder why they couldn't. Like, I named 3 because, they're getting older and they'd appreciate it. And the regional, Eddie Davis, Tony Morgan, and Billy Parker Jr.
It helps. It helps if you're in Pennsylvania. That really helps you get into the Hall of Fame. If you race and train in Pennsylvania, it helps a lot.
I want to put something up, a little self promotion here. I want to put this up. Somebody sent it to me a while back, and I read it this afternoon, and I'm going to put it up because it's funny, and because of this one sentence, maybe I could be in the Hall of Fame. Look at the sentence. I'm going to show you. The sentence says, where the hell is it? That I had, let's see, Larry Rolla, 41-year-old veteran campaign, Larry Rolla, who has experienced ups and downs, is on a high roll. In the week starting performer, Rolla has won 5 of his 9 starts with a 3rd place finish. Where the hell's this say? It says, my batting average was 408. 408. So that should put me in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, right on.
That was
Joe says, by the way, Joe says Timmy Case was second to him he thinks in wins in New York. Yeah.
Well, we got to look into that, and it's sad that.
But remember, but they weren't. Joe was Roosevelt, but I don't know that Timmy Case did any racing at all, and Roosevelt was probably gone by the time he came along, right? Where Buddy was around, obviously. Buddy was around in the heyday of Roosevelt too.
Timmy Case
and what Buddy was saying,
Buddy Regan turned his stable over to Linda Toscano. That's how she got started. Buddy sort of quit and disappeared, and Linda took over the stable.
All I know about Buddy.
Yeah, she actually worked for Buddy. That's for sure. Yeah. But she's done so well.
Yeah, she's from Long Island. She went to Stony Brook and came over and started working for Buddy, and that was in the early 70s.
Yeah. But it's gotten to be, as we say, it's very political, and I think that they would say that if they want to say it's not political, they just say certain people have to have a certain.
The whole system is basically you have 12 or 13 chapters. They all basically select a person. They do a write-up, and then they send it in, and then it goes to a committee, and then the committee is supposed to read them, and basically they go behind private doors to read all their bios and stuff like that. But a lot of times they already have it picked out. They don't even read half the bios, so they've already picked out who they're going with.
Oh yeah. Well, again, because they can do the advance, and I'm sure it's a lot of it's personal opinion.
Who picks out, Freddie? Who's the guy that pick out?
Say that again. I didn't hear you, Larry.
Who's the guy who picks out who's going in the Hall of Fame? What committee is that?
Well, it's the committee who's going to pick them. But the chapters, the harness riders chapters, they select the person that they do the write up on. I think they send 2 in from each chapter. So that's how come I know, Billy Popfinger, he got 4 chapters right up for him. He didn't get into the Hall of Fame. The next year he has 2 chapters right up for him, and he got in, I think, as on the Veterans Hall of Fame.
Well, yeah,
which is a different category.
And I think was that the same way with Lucien too, Freddie?
Yes, Lucien too,
and maybe even Benny Webster.
Benny they would not. They would not even think about putting Benny in there.
You said there was 4: Billy Pops,
right?
Benny,
it was Billy Popfinger, Benny, Teddy, and Lucien. Those are the 4 I worked
Teddy,
for.
But Teddy got in.
1 failure.
But Teddy, I don't think he wasn't in the senior. He was in the real one, right? The main Hall of Fame.
I think he got in on the senior. I'm not 100% sure. I think that he got in on the senior one. I'm not 100% sure. Don't hold me on that. So,
where's Mike Garino when you need him, huh?
The reason Carino, because he's Italian, they discriminate against us Italians. Like me and Larry. Larry should be in the Hall of Fame. Larry, they discriminate against us.
What about
Well,
us
well,
cats?
they used to have a New York State Hall of Fame for athletes, and the first two that were inducted into that one were from our harness racing sport were Buddy Gilmore and Lucian Fontaine. I don't remember who came after that, but now this is kind of comical. The different sport teams were supposed to support it. The Mets, the Yankees, the Knicks, the Nets, the Boxing Federation. They were all supposed to support it. Roosevelt and Yonkers, all the tracks were supposed to support it. Well, they quit supporting it and it went bankrupt.
Okay.
And so all everything that was in that Hall of Fame ended up in some storage facility someplace.
Years ago, they used to follow me. There were always 2 or 3 guys that followed me, and I noticed it right away. But they followed me at the racetrack. They followed me at night at the Concord Hotel, and finally one day I went over to them. They were at the bar, and it was harness track security, and they were telling me all about it. And they all ex-FBI agents. The Racing Commission formed a organization called Harness Track Security, and they were formed, and they told me this, they were formed to find undisclosed ownership in racing. And at the time, I had horses for Aaron Wagman, and Aaron Wagman just got out of jail, and he put the horses under his attorney's name, Joel Weinberg, but they named the stable Big Willie Farms, and it sounded like a mob thing. So they tried to put it all together because they had wiretaps and everything. It was that whole thing. But anyway, nothing ever happened. And the windup was, and I don't know how he did it, but he got Aaron Wagman got a presidential pardon. I don't know how he did it, but he got a presidential pardon.
From who? From Nixon?
Whoever was the president in 1980. Whoever the president was then.
I think it was Reagan, wasn't it? Reagan?
Reagan.
I don't know, but he got a president.
Reagan or Bush Sr.
He got a presidential pardon, and he was the guy with one other guy, and it was a famous thing that fixed all the college basketball games in the 60s and 70s. And he went to jail for it. And he come out of jail, he started photo promotions and become a very, very wealthy guy. And he wind up getting, so in the beginning, all the horses were under Big Willie Farms. And the owner of Big Willie Farms was Joel Weinberg, Aaron's attorney. As soon as he got the presidential pardon, everything got switched over to, and then eventually Harness Track Security, and they were looking for Italians, and it was only me and Carmine Abatello, and but they were looking for undisclosed ownership, all that mob bullshit, infiltrating and everything.
Right.
And they thought they had it with me and Aaron, but they struck out. And I don't think Harness Track Security exists anymore. But they followed me for a lot of years, and no matter where I went. And they asked me one time, how could you leave $100 tip every night at the bar at the Concord? and I never said
they should have followed Benny Webster around.
No, I had my own table because I had horses with Bobby Parker, who owned the Concord Hotel. So I got my front table every night in the lounge right up against the bandstand. But I never drank. I used to get a half a shot of Canadian Club in soda, Canadian Club, with a full glass of club soda. But I'd always tip the waitress $100, and I give $100 to the bartender because I never drank. And they asked me one night, how could you spend all this? How could you tip like this? You race, And I just says, look, I says, I bet, I bet, I bet, and I get lucky sometimes. And when you get lucky and live the kind of lifestyle I need, you can live a lifestyle of a millionaire as long as you have cash flow. And as long as I'm able to cash a check, because Slutsky, who owns Monticello Racemate, allows me to cash a check as long as I never bounce one, you always have cash flow, and if you have cash flow, you could live like a millionaire, and the money becomes confetti. It don't mean nothing, because
Right,
you
right.
know that if you go broke, you just write another check. And then I started that whole kiting thing, and you live like a millionaire, drive nice cars, have nice, it catches up to you, but for a while you get away with it, and that's when you find out
Trade.
that you're not as good looking as
I'm
you
going to
think
say.
you are
I'm going to
when you run
say.
out of money.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Greg.
Trade.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, Greg.
One thing you should do for the man who shall name us. I'm sick of YMCA. Please, they got to get something different. There's a lot better than YMCA. I think there is. Come on, please.
I'll
Don't
tell you
you
guys
think?
I'll tell you guys a funny story. I had an owner years ago that I was having a difficult time collecting money from, so I finally got a check from him, and I think the check was like for $1,800. And so I went over to the bank to cash it, and the teller tells me, well, there's not enough money in the account to cash the check. So I'm starting to walk away, and I turn around and I say, well, can you tell me what the balance is? And she says, sure. He's got $1,682 in the account. I got a check for $1,800. So I go over, I have the account number and everything. So I write out a deposit slip to cover the check. I deposit put the deposit in cash, and then I go back to the counter and I cash the $1,800 check.
That's the way to do it.
Cash flow.
And the guy called me up, cursing me out, screaming and shouting. It was funny as hell.
Joe
Well,
Verino never paid. Remember, all I ever had was claimers. I never paid over 40,000. See, that's another thing that we talked about that night. In all them years that he was leading trainer, he never had a horse. He never paid more than 40,000 for a horse. And he was a time, I think his son Mike says that he was up to 65 horses at one time. And I don't remember, but that kid's amazing. I'm looking forward to meeting with him. I'm working on something, and well, Freddie knows about it. No, not too many people. There's only 3 people that know about it, but I want his opinion on it.
How old is Mike? Larry, how old is Mike? Guarino.
I don't know. Maybe in his 30s.
Oh yeah, is that young?
Yeah.
Very smart kid.
I told you that.
Very, very bright kid.
Hey, I want to jump in over here. I see that we got David basically says in 1980 Carter was president.
Well, yeah, really. Oh, okay.
Oh, so Reagan came in the 80s, and then I was thinking the 90s with Bush. So I was off by 10 years.
Yeah, I thought that Carter was gone by then.
I thought it was Ray. I don't know. I'm not going to put my phone on because so far I have my phone shut off.
Yeah,
So
same
far,
thing here.
Nothing happened.
I also noticed this too. When we cut to 4 people, it got even better.
Yeah. You still freeze and you still talk over people because you still have that little delay, but you'll figure it out.
Sorry, I didn't know.
No, that's it's been all the time, but you got. I don't know. You're too good on here not to have you know what I'm saying.
We'll fix it. Yeah. Trade.
Yes, it's the memory in your computer. There's no doubt about it. That's what it is.
Okay, let's see. David Alter said, "Trade. You shouldn't say things like it because he's Italian." Well, you see, he didn't say it for any other reason except they made it known. They made it known that they were only. They made it known that they were looking for undisclosed ownership, and it was they thought that all the mob, because you got to remember when you race at Yonkers or Roosevelt, there's 5 mafia families there that between each family had maybe 300 members, another 500 associates. So you're talking about 3,000-4,000 mob guys, and everyone used to go to the racetrack all the time. That's why when they asked me, what do you think? Well, why is the handle dropping down? I says, because you threw all the all the mob guys out. I says, you should be sending limousines for them. And they're the ones that are betting. I remember, geez, they used to be at the track all the time. And they threw them all out, and then the windup was they wound up all going to jail anyway. But they made it known. They made it known that they were after. They must have heard from wiretaps and everything else that was going on, and that's how they caught Hervé too. They caught Hervé dealing with John Gotti's brother-in-law over the phone. And every mob guy either owned horses or was involved with somebody, and that's what they were looking to do. They made it known, and that's why what Trade said is true. They went after the Italians, and I know it for a fact because of everybody up there. The only one that they followed was me. There were only 3 of them, and they were following me no matter where I went. They followed me. And so he didn't say nothing like he's prejudiced or nothing like that, because Trade is not like that. He said it because they made it known that we're after. We know the mob is involved, and we're going to look to find. Because they asked you, they came to me, who's your owners? You sure nobody else? Where'd you get the money from? How'd you get this money? How'd your mother? I put MMF under my mother's name. Who owned them? John Gotti. John Gotti owned MMF. I bought them for $5,000. Gotti gave me the money, and I put them under my mother's name because I was pretty sure that I couldn't get John Gotti a license. So I put them under my mother's name. So I gave them to Hervé. I was bought from Yonkers, so I gave them to Hervé. But I told Hervé, I says, we know each other a long, long time at that time. And it was 1980. I forgot what year it was. Anyway, I told Hervé, I says, listen, I bought this trotter from John Chapman, MMF, for $5,000. He has oblong feet. He had a quarter crack on each side of every foot. He had 8 quarter cracks. I patched every one of them. He's right now. He's in C2. They had no C3 trotters in New York. He's classified C2. He'll win all the way up to the free-for-all trot. But Hervé, I'm telling you something, you could never let anybody know. John Gotti owns the horse. So
nobody will know.
You can't.
Nobody will know, Larry. Nobody will ever know
that.
that.
Here's another thing you need to know is that every week, this horse has to win every week, and every week I want you to give me 2 horses to put underneath them in the exaction. And that's what he did every week. I would meet Gotti's underboss or consigliere, whatever his name was, I forgot his name, and Frankie Lowe. And I would meet him in the restaurant across the street from Yonkers, and I would give him the numbers that Hervé gave me. And Hervé win every race all the way up. He win 11 in a row. Gotti bet every time, and then Gotti gets a hold of me in 19. Right at the after I won the 11 race. I can't even think of the year. I think it was 80. Gary Lewis would know because Gotti gets a hold of me, and he says to me. I think I'm going to go away. I don't think I'm going to beat this rap. He says, so let's get rid of the horse. I sold the horse to Gary Lewis. Gary Lewis paid me $100,000 for the horse. The horse won a little over $100,000 in purse money. I got all the money. My mother had it in her bank account. I got all that money, and I got Gary Lewis's $100,000. I go to meet Gotti, and I have over $200,000. And I says, here's the money. And he says, keep it. He wouldn't take a penny. He let me keep the whole thing. And poor Gary Lewis took the horse from me. He had 8 quarter crack. I patched him myself with fiberglass. But he took the horse from there to Florida, and he swam them, and the horse drowned the first day. He swam them. The horse drowned. And that was the end. In fact, when I told the story, I called up Gary, and I says, "Do you remember what year you bought MMF? What year it was?" I don't remember. It's not in the book, but I told the story.
That was his name. M as in Michael, M as in Michael, F as in Frank.
Yeah, they called him MMF because I think I forget who owned them, and they said it was MMF. They said it was, they named him Mean Motherfucker. That's what they said.
O'Donnell will know. He'll find out.
Yeah, MMF was the horse's name.
That's
He
it.
won. He was at Yonkers. Hervé drove him. Hervé, I put him under Hervé's name. The horse was under my mother's name, his owner, and he went from C2 all the way up to Invitational Trot or whatever the best one was. It was 11 in a row, and Gary Lewis bought him. And sure enough, about a month or two later, John Gotti went to jail.
Wow.
I still don't remember what year it was, but it might have been 74 or 75.
So, Larry, we're approaching the 3-hour mark.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know what's good about this? And I kind of kept it going because I was dying to see if I would freeze. Nothing ever happened. So maybe it was my phone. I shut the phone off and everything worked perfect. So we can end it now. I think we went through enough of the things. I don't have to go through all of it. Half of these people are probably sleeping anyway. So the only thing I wanted to see was, I don't think Carter was president in 1980. Maybe, I guess David Arthur knows. I don't know. But anyway, Aaron got a, that's why if you see Big Willie Farms, all the horses Big Willie Farms own, including Wildwood Jet, it switched from Big Willie Farms to Aaron Wagman. So anyway,
I'll tell you what, if they made 100,000, that was a lot back then, because in Wildwood Jebb's days, I think the cane pace only went for like 300,000, huh?
yeah,
That's
but he
like $1 million now.
Well, I don't even remember, but he win. All I know is that my mother got we wanted to pay a tax on it. That John says just keep the money. So, but he won. I think he won 11 races in a row, and I'm almost positive that it was over 100, right around 100,000 in purse money. So this was, I wish I could remember what the deal was. I was MMF. Somebody got to look up on my phone. I
can look at MMF as in Frank, right?
Right.
Michael Frank.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That was the horse.
William O'Donnell will tell me. I'll find
Okay. And
Well, in 1975, they had the OTB Classic. That was the first one that came out. It was a $300,000 purse, and that was the richest race in harness racing. And then in 1980, we had the I guess it's the Woodrow Wilson over at the Meadowlands, which had a purse of $2 million. And then 2 years later, we had another race that was $2 million that Billy O'Donnell won. But those were the richest races. They were actually the richest horse races in the world at that time. Thoroughbreds did not have races like that at that time.
No, who had it was the quarter horses had what was called the Futurity. That was the richest for years. Yeah, like the Kentucky Derby, I can remember. It's not all that long ago that it didn't even go for $1 million.
Yeah, well, I remember when it was going for 500,000. I mean, it was not. But they had some big bonuses there too. You win all 3 Triple Crowns and you get $5 million or something.
Well, they had
like
the
that.
$5 million visa thing. What's Larry doing?
I'm turning my phone back on. So far I haven't frozen yet, but I'm turning my phone back on because I gotta find out when MMF raced. It had to be. I think it was 74. How much?
But how are you going to find out?
I don't know how I'm going to find out.
You're not.
No, but, well, I messaged Gary. I messaged Gary Lewis, and I'm going to see if I could go back a couple of years to my messages.
Told you, I'll find out tomorrow exactly William O'Donnell will have it. Exactly. So there'll be no, well, this and, because everybody does that now. And then you look it up. I'm not saying you would, but I hear a lot of things today and you look it up, it just didn't happen.
Well, I see a lot of things where people have marked the wrong horses. And they'll show a picture. They show a picture of someone driving a horse, and they say it's this horse.
And the
It's
wrong
not that
horse.
horse.
Wrong guy.
Oh, yeah. No, that's right. Yeah. And I
74 rings a bell because I discovered a group that became a real big group at the time called the BT Express. Are you familiar with them at all, Greg?
No.
Freddie? The BT
What?
Express?
Hold on. Let me turn this. I can't hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
I discovered a group called the BT Express. They were from Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn. They did a song called "Do It, Do It, Do It Till You're Satisfied."
All right, I remember.
Do it,
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers that. I know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I produced that. Yeah.
Hmm.
I didn't write it. I produced it and mixed it and put some instruments on it.
Would that be a song might have been on Soul Train, maybe?
It was on Soul Train. Oh, they definitely were on Soul Train.
Yeah.
Yeah. Black
So that
group, nice, good guys. Black group. Yeah.
Don Cornelius, huh?
Yeah, Don Cornelius. Yeah, I didn't know him.
Yeah.
But they were
No.
on that show. Yeah.
He was good. He had a great voice.
Yeah, it did real
Who
deep.
was great in those days was Barry White, huh?
Yeah, Barry White was.
Yeah. You know what I like? You ever listen to New Jersey 101.5 on Saturday, Big Joe?
No, I don't listen to
Plays
the
a
radio.
lot of those kind of songs.
I don't listen to the radio at all. I don't listen to music.
Well, I listen to that every so often.
I don't listen. No, there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't
No.
listen to music. You're talking to somebody. I don't listen to music, even my own. When I finish
Why?
with my stuff that
Yeah.
I recorded, I don't listen to it anymore.
Why?
Because it's done. Because I finished it. I'm working on new
get
stuff. I'm working on new stuff all the time.
No, you were saying that, yeah.
Yeah.
Larry,
Yeah.
ready?
Ready for what?
Ready? We had enough for tonight.
Yeah. All right. I'm trying to, I can't believe oh, wait a minute. Hold it. Wait a
The
second.
highlight of the evening was Jessica Hallett.
Yeah, I
But
got
the
it.
quote of the evening.
Wait.
came from
Larry's got it. Larry's got it. Wait.
What?
I found, hold it. I have it.
MMF.
Yeah, I got it. Hold it. Let me-
Mean mother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Oh, I got a call just as that. Okay, I got it here. I wonder if you could see it. Tell me if you
No.
could see it. This.
Tell us.
The same guy. I'm gonna. Oh,
Tell us,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ. Yeah, that's Gary Lewis. It says it all sounds. Wait a minute. Yeah. So happy for you. I'm guessing I bought MMF in 1973. So tell me, let me see if I could see that.
Can't.
Right?
No.
Who's the girl?
Huh?
There's a girl
Who's the
about
chick? There she is. It looks like Carmela. It looks like Carmela hysterical.
Yeah, you can't see it. But it was
No.
in 1973.
Trade. I was speaking to Tommy James, and he told me he started out with Morris Levy, I believe,
Morris
on
was my
Roulette
buddy.
Records.
He was my buddy, Morris.
Yeah, he says he was a mob up and took advantage of him. What?
He never paid a cent to anybody,
Oh.
Morris.
How'd
I
you know?
recorded for him. He wanted me to be the head of A&R at his label. He wanted
What
me
was
to
his
be,
big song, Tommy James?
I think we're alone now. I think we're alone now. One of them, anyway.
You know who Morris Levy worked for?
Who is he with? I don't know.
Okay. Trade, I was speaking, this is from Joe.
The Gambino guys? The
To-
Gambinos?
Genovese.
Genovese? Oh, okay.
Trade, I was speaking to Tommy James. He told me he started out with Morris Levy and he was in the life and really took advantage of him. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, yeah. He never paid anybody, Morris. Yeah, of course.
So he took advantage of people then.
Morris Levy did. He never paid anybody.
Yeah.
But
No.
but the thing is, most of the recording artists don't realize, because I had a record label myself,
Yeah.
you know, and a couple of record labels actually, and I have one right now that I record from. The record label is you really they make money, but the artist rarely makes money because it's a vehicle. The record is a vehicle for the artist to do performances and make a lot of money in performances, where the record company has no doesn't really make any money from, unless they're managing him, which is illegal actually. The record company can't really manage the artist, but
it's shifted now, right? In the day, they made the money on the records, the performers. Today, they got to go out and perform on stage and sell merchandise and do big shows to make the money now. Isn't that how it goes?
That's true. Yeah, but
Where
in the
before,
day,
the tour would be to promote the record kind of thing.
right? Yes, but
Yeah.
back in the day, a lot of artists didn't get paid hardly a cent unless they sold millions of records, like Elvis would sell millions of records, or big artists like Tom Jones would sell millions of records. You know,
Joe Guarino says, Trade, I was speaking to Tommy James, and he told me he started out with Morris Levy, I believe, on Roulette Records. He says he was mobbed up and took advantage of him.
Absolutely. I was on Morris's label. He wanted me to work for him. I was on G Records in 1960. I had a record that was almost a hit, and his main promoter was a guy named George Goldner, who was a big bettor. He bet more money than he ever made. Georgie Goldner, what a good guy. He was a friend of Murray the K's. Actually, I met Murray the K through George Goldner and Morris Levy. Murray was my buddy, and I produced a couple of records with Murray, Murray the K, Murray Kaufman. Yeah, but it's true that he did take advantage of a lot of guys, Morris. But he also made a lot of hit records because they paid off a lot of people, you know, and that's a lot of things that a recording artist does not realize. That
Crimson and Clover, Joe says, was his big song.
Yeah, that was Crimson and Clover. Yeah. And I think we're alone now. Yeah, Crimson and Clover. He had a number of big records. He was a good artist. He had a couple of really good records, really.
I remember Crimson and da 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 da. Over and over.
Yeah.
Larry, speaking of over, can we be over?
Yeah.
Listen, I want you to do me a favor.
What?
I want you to find out MMF 1973, I think he said. What I gave him to her. I bought him from Chapman for $5,000. I gave him to Hervé. He win
11 in a row. He said
win 11. This is what I'm going to.
It was in your book. Somebody said here. You had it in the book. MMF is in the book. Is that what he means? Joseph Jackham.
Oh, it was in the book.
I don't have it in your book.
I don't know if I put him in the book. Maybe I did. I don't know. But if it's in the book, here's what I want everybody to realize. This happened 50 years ago. I know that Gary paid me $100,000 for the horse. I know that.
Right.
The purse money, I don't know the exact purse money. It could have been 100. It could have been 70. It could have been 120. I'm almost positive that I went and I gave 200,000 to John Gotti, and he gave it back to me. And now, if the horse only earned 70,000, so I made a mistake. It wasn't 100 or 7, but I know he won. And maybe wasn't 11 races. Maybe it was only 9 or 10. When I was telling this story,
A lot anyway.
50 years later. But I would like to know for myself how much he earned in purse money, because I'm almost, in my head, it was a couple of 100,000 I brought to him. So, if I did put it in the book, I put a couple of hundred. I don't remember.
How I know the Wildwood Jeb purse, because I won the cane in the Messenger in 2006, and that was the 50th renewal. Bell Acton won the first. So then I looked up the cane as well, but I'm pretty sure Wildwood Jeb's days it was around 300, which was a lot then. Yeah.
Joe Garino says, Tommy James on roulette, what records? He sang Crimson and Clover, Dragging the Line.
Yeah.
I think we're alone now.
Yeah, I think you're alone now. Yeah.
Many more hits. Yeah.
He had a number of them. Besides Crimson Clover, and I think you're alone now. He had a number of them. He was a good artist.
Now, Mike Alfizi says that, and Billy the Kid, they say Gotti didn't own horses. His son-in-law did. Frankie Lack had horses.
Frankie Loke. No, Frankie Loke.
Yeah.
Frankie Loke was Gotti's underboss or consigliere, whatever it was at that time. But at that time, he wasn't the boss. So we're talking. But Frankie Loke, who was his underboss or consigliere, that's who I was giving the numbers to. And this was in 1973. Later on, Frankie Loke bought a farm up by Monticello and bought a bunch of horses. And you know who his trainer was? Joe Garino.
Oh.
So, yeah, Joe Garino trained all
Can
the
we
horses.
end on that?
Okay, we'll end it. Okay.
Do like George Costanza, end on a high note. Good night, everybody.
Well, listen, find out about MMF for me. How many
I'm going to
races?
call you tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Maggie, I'll try and get this fixed.
Good night, Larry. Good night, Greg. Good night.
Good
Good night, Freddie.
Great, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, good. I will talk to you tomorrow. Yeah.
Good night, guys.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Good night.
Good night. I'm gonna
Sleep
play-
tight. Sleep tight.
Okay, I'll see you all.
Dump those grudges, ditch those judges. They're just weighing you down. Drop the haters, procrastinators, 'cause one man's smile is just another one's frown. When it's time for the end, ain't no warning, my friend. One day you're here, next stop the pearly gates. So listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up, it's getting late. Dump collections, self-reflections, they're just covered in dust. Why obsess, worry or stress? Just ask yourself, what's the fuss? When your doctor calls you on a Sunday afternoon, gonna be a blue Monday, you'll be howling at the moon. You know you never can cheat fate. Lighten up, it's getting late. Forget bling and glitter, text and Twitter. Don't need it to make my case. Say it old school, face to face. Dump the users, soul abusers, turn and walk away. Give yourself a kick in the ass, then raise your glass. Let's toast to the past and make the most of today. Keep the faith, rise above, do the things that you love. Find a reason every day to celebrate. So listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up, it's getting late. blast. Live it full, life goes fast. Carrying around too much dead weight. All the simple things are all that matter. Lighten up, it's getting late. Oh, what the hell? IGL.